Alright, are you guys ready to go on air for Fangin Around?
Yes. Harry?
I am also ready to go.
Oh, fueling up. Can you get a bit of pouring sound straight into the mic for the listeners back home? You know, this should be the opener.
That sounds like checking a piss, James. You need...
It does. So now that you've filled up the tank, you're going to start the engine?
Do the other guests?
Welcome to Fangin Around at fangaround.com. I'm James, aka the Geico Tom, joined today by
Harry
and
Campbell.
How are you guys going?
Good. We've just been listening to some Nelly.
Some Nelly?
Not Nelly Furtado, although she was awesome, especially with that Promiscuous track with Timbaland.
Promiscuous girl, I liked you, but then I didn't.
Yeah, that's the one. Some people said she sold out, but I really liked that track.
I never heard that track.
Bullshit.
I'm going to look it up on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. So you've been getting into a bit of the SoundCloud, have you, Harry?
I've just discovered it as of about 15 minutes ago.
15 minutes, wow.
Nelly Furtado, was that?
How did you find out
Nelly
about that?
Furtado, Promiscuous Girl. Yeah, how did you get into it?
I went on this website looking for some music, and I went to download, listen to a song online, and they came up with this thing for SoundCloud. And because I was on my iPad, it said download the app.
So you did?
So I did. I just do what they
tell me. That was easy, yeah.
I'm very easily manipulated. But SoundCloud's a bit shit because Nelly Furtado is not on it.
Is it a bit too, I don't know, a bit independent, is it?
I think it's a bit indie.
The major labels haven't jumped on board yet.
Yeah, Webb's MC's on it, but not Nelly Furtado.
Okay.
It's for your cutting edge music, I think.
So what have you been doing, Harry?
What have I been doing?
What's been going on?
As in general, or?
I saw you in Northbridge the other day. What were you up to?
Oh, busted. We're not supposed to talk about that.
Oh, really?
Having a wank.
Ooh.
I went to the theatre. The new theatre.
Bullshit.
I did.
Oh, really?
That's true.
What a coincidence.
The Heath Ledger one.
The Heath Ledger.
Why is it a coincidence?
I was working in the theatre.
What?
Were you really?
You probably served Harry a drink and you didn't even notice.
I wasn't that kind of working. I was just...
Oh, like around the back.
Building.
$10 for a hand job, kind of.
$10 for half an hour in the bed or in the shower. I want my money back. She's got a daddy crack. Yeah.
Classic.
So what were you respectively doing at the Heath Ledger Theatre?
We went to see the multi-award winning, critically acclaimed Alvin and Sputnik.
Ah, Alvin and Sputnik. And?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Did it win any awards or acclaim from you?
It won the award for the only piece of theatre I've seen this year.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, it's got me out of the house. It's got me down to the Heath Ledger Theatre.
There's probably no higher compliment. Well, there are higher compliments, but it's a pretty high compliment to say that's the only piece of theatre I've seen this year. Like, you know, in terms of this actually made me want to go and see it. If you're not a theatre goer, you know, if you're a theatre goer, if you go see every fucking thing that's on.
That's not much of a compliment, guys.
And, you know, I went to see Bob's Dirty Old Show and it was all right. Then, you know, whatever. But to get Harry to go to a show, that's pretty good, I think. Maybe.
That's what I'm going to be telling people.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was it about?
It ain't any good unless I've got this.
Was it a one-person show?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, there were people behind the scenes, but it's pretty much a one-person show.
Was it in the big theatre or the small one?
I only went into one theatre, so I cannot...
Was it like 4,000 seats or 100 seats?
It was more like 200 seats.
Because there's the Heath Ledger Theatre and there's other little ones.
Oh, because I was wondering, because it was like... We went into this massive building, and then we went downstairs, and then the theatre was downstairs again. We're basically underground, and there's this big bloody building on top of us. And I was like, what's this whole building for? We're completely underground.
Are they named after other non-theatre people, non-actors, stage
what's his
actors.
name who came on last week?
Is there like
Steve Hooton, who was on
Steve
Fangin? Like, he was explaining to me what they're all each called, but I've already forgotten.
So is one of them like the
big one's the Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, and is there like the Rex Hunt kind of theatre, and I don't know, the Glenn McGrath.
What's the guy? The guy that was in the who was in the Green Machine? Was it Brooksy's footy show?
It should be Ben Cousins Theatre.
Yeah.
Why not? He's got a bit of drama in his life.
Heath Ledger theatre because he never did theatre.
No, he did some in high school, didn't he?
Screen acting. Yeah. Well, I guess everyone has to do some in high school.
Yeah.
Camper White did some in high school.
Oh, that's true. They probably should have called it the Camper White.
Probably did more theatre than Heath Ledger.
I feel like they should have named it maybe the Hugh Jackman. I mean, he's not from WA, but he studied theatre in WA.
That's true.
And he is a big theatre guy.
And he's still kicking.
Yeah. He makes really good iced tea adverts.
Oh, man.
Not that I'm against Heath Ledger. I just... I do agree with some people like, why is a theatre named after him?
Oh, I completely agree.
I think made the Heath Ledger Screen Academy or something. That would be more appropriate. You know?
Yeah. Like if, what is it, AVI or whatever, established a new wing or whatever, and, that makes sense.
Mm.
But now the theatre's like Bagstead. AVI can't have another Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Although we have a lot of John Curtin stuff, don't we? We have Curtin University, we have John Curtin College, the high school. And
yeah, but I think that's maybe a bit different, isn't it?
Because he was British Prime Minister or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a little different. Because he probably, signed off on things getting built.
No, he died.
Heath Ledger was in Batman, though.
He was too busy fighting the World War IIs.
The World War IIs?
Well, they're different theatres. Yeah. Yeah, no, I was in some nondescript part of the theatre system.
What were you doing?
I was helping make a music video.
Oh.
You weren't in the theatre. That was like a building next door to the theatre.
No, it's part of the theatre now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Would anyone like
it's all like
wine?
Part of the same complex. Like you...
I would, please.
The out the back, there's some big world's ugliest courtyard.
Officially.
And I just stamped that way. And
is there a plaque?
They've built on top of the building we were in. It's about to. We were allowed to film it because they're about to like completely rip it up or something. But above it, they've built, I guess, the offices for the theatre, like all the administration offices, and just to the next to the side. So I got to use the.
Are you allowed to talk about
theatre toilets?
Are you allowed to talk about the project any further than the vagaries?
Oh well, I don't know what I'm allowed to talk. I was working on a video music for Simone and Garfunkel. There's no one called Simone in the band, so it's purely a play.
Are there girls in it?
Yes, there's 4 girls, 3 guys.
It's a big band.
Are they a funk band? Simone and Garfunkel?
Yeah, well, I've never actually heard any of their music. I obviously heard bits and pieces of the music from what we're recording today, but I never actually heard the song from Woe to Go, so it did seem quite good from the bits I heard.
Okay. What sort of genre are they in?
I don't know. I was looking at photos. I was trying to like piece together this because I don't know. Apparently, there's some of the music's on iTunes, so their previous records on iTunes. I have to get that and check it out.
Are they on SoundCloud?
Maybe. Look, Simone and Garfunkel.
Totally search that shit.
But I noticed there's a cello player and there's a clarinet player.
What, in a band?
There's a drummer. There's an acoustic guitar player and I guess a bass player, maybe.
Was the bass in your face, London?
I noticed in one picture the cello player was playing the keys, so maybe they swap around a bit.
Was their song Tiki Tiki Boom? Because if it was, I think I found them on Sound.
Tiki Tiki Boom, maybe. I don't know.
Or was it Love, Love, Love?
Love, love, love.
Or Heart Goes Pitter Patter?
Heart goes pitter patter.
I don't know. I don't think the song that we'll make the video has been released yet. I've got a feeling.
Did they look like this?
Harry's now holding up
Yes, I think that's them.
They're on SoundCloud.
You should play some of their sweet tunes. Since I work for free in their music video for like 28 hours and 2 days, I think they should let me play it for free on the radio session.
So were you doing cinematography? Oh.
Is this Simone and Garfunkel? No.
Isn't this Le Tigre?
Yeah, this is some. Maybe it's a cover of someone.
Yeah, I've heard that song before.
Yeah, this isn't. That's not. What?
It might be a cover. I'm guessing.
Might be. Why would you cover that? That's such like a. Are you allowed to cover?
Or maybe
songs
some of the. Are they a Perth band that did that song?
Yeah, maybe. Who did that? Tick tick boom.
I seem to remember the video clip more than the actual band.
It's like girls, girls, girls.
Yeah, girls, girls, girls sounds
What's
like a
that?
girls, girls, girls thing. Yeah. But if girls, girls are Perth band, aren't they? So
Yeah,
Maybe it's
So
okay.
maybe some of those members that are in Girlfunk were also in.
Oh,
Girls,
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 girls.
and they've brought over some of their.
well, there are
Repertoire.
4 girls.
Yeah, it's 4
girls,
girls.
girls, girls. This is more Simone.
How many girls are in Girls, Girls, Girls? 3, surely.
You'd think so. Otherwise, it'd be girls, 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 girls.
I don't know. I didn't do my research because I
Or
literally
surely,
just.
or would it just
they're
be
like,
girl, girl,
Can you
girl?
please come help out? And I was like, yes, because I
Maybe
don't know.
there's
I
6
wasn't paying
girls.
attention probably.
That would make sense. There must be 6 girls in Girls, Girls, Girls. Minimum. So I just cracked a bottle of wine. This is Cabernet Merlot from the winery Stellion. This was recommended by my brother-in-law, who lives down in the Margaret River region.
Shit, you should add some of this Shiraz cab to get a double cab.
Oh yeah, we got a
Extra
Shiraz cab.
hit.
Yeah, double cabbed a lot. So I have a Cab Merlot and a
I don't
Shiraz
think you
cab.
want to mix the petrol with the fine wine.
Well, the Renmano box wine is a premium. The Stellion doesn't say
Yeah.
anything about being a premium wine.
Only $10 for 2 litres.
$10 for 2 litres. That probably works out almost the same price as this stuff,
Okay.
which is crazy. You know, those, where they kind of, I don't know. Sometimes you can buy a bottle of wine for like $5 or less.
So where did you buy that from?
This is a $5 wine.
I think this was like a $4 wine, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But that's
Margaret River
because
too.
my brother-in-law's got the
Queensland.
hookup.
Ah, okay.
Because it's delicious.
No, it's a kick-ass wine. We bought like a dozen of them because we don't really like reds, but this is nice. Yeah, so I thought I'd share it with you boys.
All right.
So
And the listeners at home.
and the listeners at home, you can hear it on my lips and my tongue. James, so what were you doing in this video clip? Were you the cinematographer? Were you
I
the
was the assistant cameraman.
assistant cameraman?
I held things for people.
You sound thrilled.
It probably would have been fun, but I think you guys saw I had this major bee sting last week, and
Yeah.
so that still wasn't healed properly. So standing.
Oh, a literal bee sting.
Yeah.
I thought you meant an emotional bee
No.
sting. I didn't know you had a real bee sting.
No, I had a real bee sting, and so standing on one leg for 20 what was it
8 hours.
28 hours is not fun.
Did you tuck your other foot up in your crotch? You know how they do, you know how you can
the
do that?
Aborigines do that?
Well,
what you're talking
yeah,
about?
that is what I'm talking about.
Well,
Do you
it's a
ever do
technique
that?
they develop, right? In the hot
Yeah.
sand, so you only have to keep one foot on the hot sand.
Yeah, and standing around for ages.
Yeah.
I don't know why they'd stand around for ages. but-
Well, what happened is because you put all the weight on that foot that can't bear the weight, that ends up becoming really sore. So now you have 2 really sore feet.
Oh yeah.
So it was just pain central for a long time. It was like an endurance feat, but it wasn't. I wasn't that important to the system, so I could sneak, some sit downs here and there, wherever I could to get through it.
Did you feel appreciated?
Yes, I guess so.
Because we noticed when we saw you were sitting down.
Yes, I think when you were there, I was holding a jib.
You looked like you're at
They had a
the
jib
boom.
there, but they were too scared to put the camera on the end of the jib and let it go. And then they ended up giving up because they were too scared that they'll break the camera on the end of the jib. And I'm just like, well, that's what jibs are for. You gotta trust the jib.
What's a jib?
It's like, a little crane thing,
Oh, like a big stick.
so you can get like aerial shots. And,
Yeah.
What? I gotta say it, wussy.
yeah. And they eat it. Yeah. Okay.
Wussy.
Anyway.
That's what it's there for. Like you said.
And I'm just like, yeah.
Weird.
So my job was just to hold one end of it, but I had 3 people holding the other end. They're just paranoid of this.
So So did you get any jib shots?
No, well, basically they got up there, and because they were so paranoid, they had someone up on the top of a ladder holding the camera, and then they're like, well, we might as well just shoot someone handheld from the top of the ladder to get the shot, and so we packed the jib away.
But then you can't get the rising and lowering shots, can you?
Yeah, well, see, they don't have we didn't have like remote control autofocus anyway, so they would have had to do a fixed focus effect, and they didn't want to compromise on that, so they wanted up there someone there adjusting the focus. But then, of course, can't move it as much, so
compromise is constant.
Yeah. That's the problem with filmmaking. You have to think about your compromise.
So that's the problem with everything.
Nevertheless, it did
Pretty
look.
sure that's
the few glimpses I got of the actual, that monitor, it looked pretty cool. So
that's good.
Should be a cool clip, I hope. But I do, made me wonder about, how you see. I always wonder. You see all these random clips, like just your average pop clip by, Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera. They always seem to. They never have any continuity. There seem to be like 3 costume department setups, and they're all different outfits, different set, and it's all just cut together. It's like they've filmed the whole thing, the music over 3 times, and they've cut together 3 sets, and so there's to be no link between the 2 scenarios that they're filming in. I always wonder that. And sometimes when we were doing this, like I said, I didn't hear the whole song the whole way through. I'm sitting there going, are they going to get... I'm sitting there hoping, because I don't know that I was not involved in pre-production or anything. I was just on set holding things. Will they... have they covered the whole song? Are they going to get to the point where their whole plan goes out the window because they haven't covered everything? They can't connect it all together, so let's just edit it all together and make this montage of stuff. And is that how all music videos comes together? It's like that? Do they actually set out to have this original storyline, but then they end up just going, cut to her in a red dress, cut to her in a pink dress?
Yeah, I never really thought about that.
Wouldn't you storyboard it? Isn't that like...
I was going to ask you, as this is one of my topics, what are your favourite music videos? Or the ones that are just crazy and don't have any connection, or ones that have like a simple gimmick?
Yeah, I like the simple gimmicks, usually.
I think my favourite video clip is that one by Bjork, where it's like just a single shot, like all this crazy shit.
I think it's a Gondry one, is it?
I think it is.
Is it all?
Is that when everyone's dancing in the street and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so quiet.
So quiet, yeah.
Yeah.
That is either Gondry or Jones, because it's on one of the DVDs.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one.
I think it's Jones. I don't think it's Gondry. But she had quite a few clips from both of those guys, didn't she? So she's got a whole bunch of fantastic stuff going on.
Either that or Sabotage.
Sabotage.
I mean, that's got a really clear theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those ones, like you said.
But I mean, that wasn't really, you can tell, well, I get the impression that they just said, okay, we got this theme, let's just go film a bunch of crazy shit. But
there's there is continuity there. Like, it's not them cutting between, like, 3 different genre kind of, or...
No, but there's just them cutting between different clips of
that's true.
Cool shit. There's no story or anything. They're just
That's true.
All right, what happens in one of these cop dramas? They eat donuts, they slide across we got to have a shot of them sliding across the bottom of the car. All right, let's do that.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, the Beastie Boys have fantastic video clips. Always.
Chemical Brothers. But I think Chemical Brothers use Jones and Gondry as well for most of their stuff.
I don't know. That I'm Blue song? I'm blue, la-da-dee-la-da-da.
That had a good music video?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Crazy Frog?
I'm still obsessed with that one that I showed you.
The Venga Bus?
No, earlier this year. What was it? Was it Robin?
Oh, yeah. So am I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one?
Call your girlfriend.
Yeah. And it's just one shot of her, like,
dancing It's like perfect.
Yeah.
That clip, it reminds me of a dream I had, like, maybe 5 years ago. And in my dream, I was shooting a Bjork video clip, and it was really similar to that. And so when I saw that Robin one, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
the Bjork one was different. Yeah, sort of. I mean, the clip that I in my dream was slightly different. I painted it for an exhibition. It was
a bit better than.
Well, there were in my dream there were 3D projected holograms that were like surrounding Bjork. So like all these different shapes that were projected within real life and then filmed.
Can I just ask you what the Robin film clip was called?
Call Your Girlfriend?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Do you ever have in your dreams, like you have something in your dream and it sounds really familiar, and then you go and Google stuff about what it is, and it actually comes, it's like it's almost true. But then I'm like, okay, for example, okay, I had this sort of recurring dream where there's this guy, he was swimming out to the ocean with his friends, and he's like, the reason they're swimming is like, you got to come check this out, right? There's this thing you got to see. And he goes out and he sees this, he finds this big blob of meat in the ocean, right? And he can't describe it, like, is it some weird animal or something like that? And then they find some netting, and they're like, oh, I wonder if this animal is stuck in the netting, right? So then I woke up and I Googled this idea, right? Because I was like, what? This sounds really familiar. And then I found out this phenomenon called ghost nets, where these big fishing trawlers, right? They lose the nets off the fishing trawlers, right? And all the fish that's caught in there, and other fish that get stuck in there get caught up, and then they start eating each other, consuming, and they basically create this big floating blob of meat in the ocean as everything's consuming and dying in there, and then other fish come in and they get attracted by the smell of the meat, and they come in and they get stuck, and it just builds this big blob of rotting flesh. But I swear I never heard of that concept in my life, but it was in my dream.
What is it, a ghost net?
Ghost nets or something like that. I had another similar thing where I had this dream about there was just these planes flying over Perth, right? And they have the steam trails, like those little white things coming across, and everyone around me started looking up and going freaking out. I was like, we've got to evacuate the city. So then I looked this up, and apparently there's this like theory, this
chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
Prince is big on chemtrails, man. He's like,
and see, I had never heard of the whole chemtrails before this, but actually when I looked it up, I'm like, wow, this is a real thing people are concerned about. I don't know whether.
What are chemtrails?
Oh man, okay. So you know how you see planes in the sky, and what is it? It's like water vapor, isn't it?
Yeah.
They leave water vapor trails.
Yeah, we think.
Yeah, well, we think. So right, they leave water vapor trails.
We pretty much know that they're water vapor trails. But anyway,
I'm pretty sure.
We don't really know so much in Perth, but when I was in France, you saw them everywhere. I guess they have more air travel flights as parts.
And maybe the moisture levels in the atmosphere are different. You know, it's
almost like it's sky graffiti there. Like it actually affects their skyline, their view, because there's so many of them.
You got to have a lot of moisture in the air and unstable atmosphere. Perth.
Well, some people in the global community believe that it's not just water vapor, that it's actually chemicals that are being released deliberately by the government for various reasons.
That sounds like bullshit.
There are better, more effective ways of releasing chemical agents into the communities and targeting communities rather than just blanketing.
Well, there is I know there's a model of Airbus plane, right, which is, and I don't know which one it is, but it's specifically designed to, as part of its emissions, is to release more ozone than normal planes, and they did that to try and help fix up the ozone layer. But if they reckon they had all these thousands of Airbus planes flying around releasing ozone, it would help. Because ozone takes so long to float up from the Earth that the ozone layer would take ages to fix if we release it from the Earth. But they reckon if they put them all this ozone, these engines that released ozone as part of their emissions, that it would help fix the hole in ozone faster.
I mean,
I don't know if that's whether that was just one prototype plane, or whether it actually got implemented in all planes or not. But
that was a cool idea.
Well, ozone's pretty easy to make. Lots of things make ozone. It's actually it's actually a pollutant in the kind of atmosphere because it's a dangerous gas, and stuff that releases lots of ozone at ground level can be dangerous to you. It can cause damage to plants.
But a layer of it
people
is necessary in the upper atmosphere.
So that all came from music videos, I think. I can't remember how we got.
Yeah, I think you started talking about.
Oh, you were talking about, yes, you saw that video, the Robin video.
I had a bit of a dream about it.
Dreamed about it 5 years earlier.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. My idea's still better, but, you know. What are you going to do?
So, yeah.
Harry, are we doing corners? What are we doing now?
I believe we're still on the first section.
We sort of jumped around. What have you been consuming?
We skipped ahead to James's corner, which is music videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what have we been consuming this week? Well, we did theatre.
Bloody SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. Hot app.
Jules Burgers?
Yeah, I had a Jules Burger night before. No, it was last night.
Is it fucking good?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Did you wink it?
Wink it? Is that to get the discount?
No, it's the new hot app where you rate the products in stores instead of the actual stores themselves. No. Okay. So how was it? What did you get?
I just got a cheeseburger, actually.
Is this your first cheeseburger?
No, I've been quite a few times.
Okay. So what burgers have you tried?
I can't even remember. I've tried the cheeseburger. I think they do a roux burger there, but I don't think I've ever successfully bought it. Whenever I go to buy it, they're like, no, we sold out.
Yeah, it can be hard to buy the roux burger.
Yeah. Every time I go to buy it, they're just like, no, don't have it in stock.
That's a bit of a joke.
Oh, okay.
I've had it a couple of times.
Oh, well, I've never been able to have it. This is at least 3 times now that's happened, which is okay. I don't mind.
Oh, you tried to buy, but they were out of stock.
Yeah. I go to order and they're like, no, we've sold out of roux for the day. I mean, because they've got a no freezer policy. Like, if it goes, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good, and that's why I like to support them because it's all like WA produce, which is good. Because grilled, I was buying grilled a lot, and they do good burgers, but Just Burgers has got that sort of WA.
And they're more tasty. But
have you guys been to the Burger Bistro in Leederville?
No.
I haven't. I'm kind of boycotting.
It feels like they've opened that store in response to Jules Burgers, right?
That's what it feels like.
Of course, living in Leederville and people come visit me, and it's like, oh, let's go down to Leederville and have some lunch. And it's like, oh, that place looks new, and you got to go and try a good Burger Bistro. So I had to go. I wouldn't normally go to these giving places, but it was like... It's like, oh, let's do what Jules Burgers is doing, but let's not put any effort into it at all and just make the most mediocre burger possible.
That's what it looks like from the street.
I've never been so disappointed by a burger. How's it hard to get a burger wrong, really?
I reckon it's pretty hard to fuck up a burger. There's a couple of different avenues you can go down when you're making a burger. I don't believe
that's true. I believe it's quite hard because it's so simple, like, to get a really delicious burger. Because I've made burgers at home and they're never as delicious as, like...
Not enough fat and salt, guarantee. That's the problem.
What's your favourite burger in Perth?
Look, for a while it was... Well, because I used to be getting the roux burgers a lot at Grilled. I think it is. Do they do a roux burger at Grilled? Or am I lying?
Oh, so you've actually got the roux burger before, and it was good.
Well, I can't remember if I got it at Grilled or Just now. Now I'm having this, panic. I know in the city, I've never had a roux burger at that Jules Burgers. But maybe I had one in Leederville a few times. No, but I got it when Grilled. No, it was the Hot Mama at Grilled. I was really into that for ages.
That is quite nice.
And I used to have to get it in mild, because it's actually hot.
Really hot.
Like, they're not fucking around. Some places they're like, hot, and you get it, and you're like, where's the spice? The first time I got it as hot. She was like, do you want it mild hot or super hot? I was like, oh, just give me hot. I could barely eat it. When when something's so hot, it's actually not fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's like an endurance.
I rarely get hot stuff when I go out and buy dinner, because I'm like, if I'm going to spend $30 on this meal and I get the hotness wrong, it's just feels so bad. But if I'm at home experimenting and I'm using $10 worth of ingredients, I don't mind getting it wrong. Making it too hot because I've only lost $10. But if you lose $30, it feels like, oh my god.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't anticipate just how hot it's going to be. Anyway, that Hot Mama, I'm quite fond of it. It's like it must just be a beef burger. It's got chugged capsicum. I think it's got a spicy kind of mayonnaise or something. I don't know. Or tzatziki. Tzatziki. Anyway, it's good. It's good stuff. Anyway, yeah.
Me and Fred had this legendary adventure, which for some reason you two didn't come on.
Oh.
We went fishing in Peppermint Grove, like on the river, or,
Yeah.
and all we caught was blueies. And then we're like, we're just near Fremantle. What do we do for lunch? Let's go to Captain Munchie's.
Yeah.
Because I used to go there because I studied right near there. And we went there and we got their deluxe burger.
Their $40 burger.
Yeah, it was just like the most epic burger I've ever had. And it was like I hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch. We went there after and I was like, I'll just easily down this burger, but I couldn't finish it. Oh. So it always blew our minds, and we will always talk about it. So me and Fred are like, oh man, remember that time we went to Captain Munchie's, got that crazy. But since then they revamped, and I haven't been there since they revamped it. I don't know if they even still sell that crazy burger.
Apparently they do. I was talking about this crazy burger just last week with someone. And I was saying, have you been to Captain Munchie's? That shit's insane. Yeah. Like, they do a $40 burger, and it's got everything. It's got every animal product in it.
Well, maybe, but we didn't. Back then, it was not a fancy place. It was like...
That's true.
This big burger was $14, which seemed expensive to us.
Well, now it's just a cheeseburger.
Yeah. But my favourite burger, as of the moment that I can confirm, is the Ankara Bakery next to the Inglewood Hotel.
Yeah.
If you get their deluxe Turkish burger, it's amazing. Like they use their own homemade Turkish bread as a bun, and
that is delicious. They
sort of create this little omelette with Turkish sausage and egg. So basically, they make they crack a few eggs and they drop the Italian sausage sliced up in it, and they flip it, and then they have the regular steak. It's like a steak burger, and all the good stuff, and it's just.
Can you specify it like with doner meat instead?
Probably.
That'd be good.
Yeah. It probably is just doner meat, but instead of little pieces, you get the whole slab.
Slabbo.
I don't.
Have you ever been tempted to buy a doneria just for your personal use and get a slab of
like
doner?
One of those little things.
One of the rotisseries. Yeah. I assume it's called a doneria. And buy a slab of meat. I wonder how much one of those meats costs.
Well,
a few hundred.
I went to Cam's Bucks night. The guy who hosted that had the spit in his barbecue, and he made kebabs for everyone.
Did he get one of those doner kebab?
And I wasn't paying attention when I should have paid attention when he opened up, but I saw it cooking and cooking, and then I disappeared and we were doing something, and I came back and they'd already sliced it up. So I don't know. I don't know how he sliced it up. I assume he had one of those electric carving knives, and it already cut it up into pieces for everyone to pick it out.
It's pretty.
But I was pretty impressed that he made homemade kebabs. But yeah, you can get barbecues that have the
rotisserie in it
inside the the hood now. They all have hoods now.
Yeah.
What's with that?
I think it's an American thing.
Standards are raising.
But does anyone ever use it?
The rotisserie?
No, the hood.
Do you use the grill portion of your barbecues?
I've only got a grill, and it's got a hood.
Right.
Like grid, no flat pan.
No flat pan. It's a Weber Q.
Weber.
It's a baby Weber. It's like the baby Weber, and it's got a hood.
No
and
fat
it's just grill.
tires. It's great.
It's wicked, but my dad got it for me as a gift, and
You ever had a fat fire?
No.
We were talking
awesome.
with
it
Nick
cooks amazingly.
and Wilson. Me and Harry, I think this was before the Canadian special. We didn't know, and they were surprised that we even had a flat grill section to our barbecues at all. They were like, "What's that for?"
And we were like,
"We cook everything."
That's all we cook on. We don't do I don't know how to cook on a grill.
I got this special on these sausages, right? And they're just so offensively fatty, right? That I have to cook them on the grill because
you start a fire.
So the fat will thing. But yeah, literally, it's like a blowtorch. You drop them on, they explode.
I don't know.
And they're always over. They burn because they cook so in 5 seconds they've gone
they're
black.
flaming.
So I think there must be an art to grilling that me growing up in this pan grilled world where everything's on the flat grill section.
Yeah, it's a different...
I've lost the touch. It seems like burgers make sense because it's just you just flip it once and chop it.
Well,
but
with the Weber Q, it comes with a little cooking guide. And, the way to use a Weber Q is it's the flip once method,
Yeah.
So they flat out come out and tell you. They're like... because there's a bit of that controversy. Some people are like, just keep flipping it all the time, and other people are just like, flip it once. Okay, so with Weber Q, they're like, flip that shit once, all right? Leave the lid closed. Don't be fucking around with it. They give you a whole bunch of cooking time. So it's like, if you've got a chicken breast to cook, they're like, all right, if it's this thick, you need to get your temperature. It's got a little temperature gauge on it, right? So
under the hood, so you close the hood and it goes...
Yeah. So you fire up your Weber or Weber or whatever, you lower the hood, and there's a temperature gauge, and you just watch it until it gets to where it needs to be. And then you check your guide, right? So it needs to be up at 200. It's at 200. You open the lid, put the thing down, shut the lid, and then you adjust the flame to whatever. You know, sometimes they cook it at high, sometimes at medium, sometimes low. Adjust it. And then the cook time's 20 minutes, you flip it after 10, you don't open it. They're just like, don't fuck with it. And you don't, and it comes out perfect. It's crazy. And
is it gas, or is it...
It's gas. But there's, you know, there's a fire in there that burns this little ring. And
what connects to a gas bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's gas bottle one. And yeah, it's crazy. Like if you do chicken breast on there or chicken, it's so moist on the inside still. You know, it cooks just beautifully all the way through, and you can get it charred on the outside if you want, and then just like soft and juicy on the inside, or you know, it just does fish amazingly. So it does it all.
I'm sold.
Cool. Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good. No dry meats, you know.
Were you there? I don't know if I did this by myself or with you guys, but when we went down, I infamously lost my iPhone in the sea.
I remember that.
I remember cooking fish on the barbecue. Were you there for that? Was that just by myself that I cooked it for myself, or did I cook it for you guys?
I was only there for a couple of hours.
Oh, okay.
I went to Manjimup.
But yeah, I because I was working at Cattle Centre, so I got discount on fish, and I really wanted to cook up. You know, I went this phase. I'm like, you know what? I should take advantage of my staff discount and cook up crap out of some fish. You know, and yeah, it was fun. But you know, I had to experiment a few times with the grill, like not destroying the meat. And then eventually, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to wrap the whole thing in foil and juices and just let it cook by itself without actually ever touching the grill. But I do like the charcoaling the fish, and it's like you just scrape off the charcoal, and just what is left of the fish is really nice.
Yeah, and you can do that depending on,
because you know it's easy to do a fish rather than if you burn a sausage, just scraping off the charcoal off the sausage.
Yeah, forget about
fun. It. Yeah. Capsule coffee.
All right, so this is... I don't know, I just whacked a whole bunch of topics up there. We don't have to talk about capsule coffee.
Well, okay, what? Is this these little things that you get a machine and you put the little cap on?
Yeah, right.
You put the capsule in it.
Yeah, that's right.
And you got one of these?
No, I don't have... My parents just bought one like a week ago.
Does it make a sweet coffee?
Some coffee officers consider that cheating. It's like microwaving a roast dinner kind of thing.
Yeah, but you wind up with a wicked result, unlike microwaving a roast dinner. So, for the people back home, it's basically you buy a coffee machine, but instead of like it being a regular coffee machine where you can use whatever grinds you want, this coffee machine, what you do is you purchase your coffee in little tiny capsules. It's like a little milk, you know, like if you're on a plane, you get a tiny little milk with a foil container and a lid. It's like that, except inside there's coffee beans. Oh, no, there's coffee grind. Sorry. But you don't open it. It's just a little capsule. You load it into the machine, you lock the machine, and then you set whatever, you know, you want a cappuccino. You press the cappuccino button, and then makes one, right? You got the milk in there and everything, so it does it all.
Froths the milk.
Yeah, froths the milk, chucks it in there, does it all, all right? And so I think this is Nespresso, which is like Nestle, right? And then there's maybe a dozen or so different types of coffees you can have. So coffee beans that are from different regions, different strengths. Can you get fair trade? Okay, well, this is the thing. Okay, so there's a whole... And look, I got to tell you, the branding is incredible. The design, the packaging, everything's gorgeous, you know? Like, you have a presentation box that you get when you buy the set, and open it up.
Like buying a Mac product.
It's stunning. You know, I went over to my folks' house, and they're like, what coffee do you want? And they open the lid on this thing, and it's like a box of chocolates, right? And each coffee flavour or coffee bean type is... the foil is coloured. So, you know, when you open a lint box or whatever, and there's the red one, and you're checking the guide. So you open the lid on this box, and on the top there's the guide of all the different types of coffees, and it describes them, and then, you know. But, you know, the thing is, it locks you into this system. So you can only buy coffee from the Nespresso.
Marketing.
Oh, it's genius. It's absolute genius.
What does a capsule cost?
Well, look, it works out about 50 cents.
Yeah, it's all right.
So for a cup of coffee.
So it's not like printers where you buy the printer for like $100 and then you pay $20 a cartridge.
No, I think the Nespresso machine, the one that my folks got, was about $300. And then per coffee capsule, it's like 50 cents.
How much is a coffee capsule? Is that one coffee?
That's one coffee. Yeah. But I mean, you break that down. That's not exorbitant. It's still cheaper to buy loose coffee. Yeah. But that's, I was shocked. I was expecting to be $1 or something. And I was like, idiots. And they're like 50 cents. I was like, that's reasonable. But
what does a tea bag cost like?
Oh, nothing. They're like free, aren't they? You can buy 100 tea bags for like $8, can't you? 100 black like tea bags?
8 cents.
Yeah.
A bag. But I suppose that's crappy tea if you want good tea. Maybe
even so, it's still not much. Yeah, I mean, the difference between coffee and tea, there's a huge difference in price. But yeah, so I had 2 coffees over at my folks, and I was pretty impressed by the flavour quality. It was really good. But yeah, it locks you into this system. Next year's going to be interesting, though, because Nestlé's patents on the kind of construction of the capsules expires.
Really?
So then it opens it up.
Oh.
They're a bit slow off the mark.
I heard that, like in America, Starbucks has, licenses on it, so you can go to Starbucks and buy their special Starbucks capsules,
Oh, really?
Their products.
Maybe they've got... Yeah, see, I'm not sure. I think
it
differs from different countries, and there must be licensing going on. But I think in some countries there are fair trade capsules that are compatible.
Okay. But
I guess next year it's just going to explode with competition, which is only good, because currently Nespresso doesn't have any fair trade organic options, and coffee is like one of the worst industries to not support fair trade, really. Anyway, that's Nespresso. I was impressed with the machine though, and the coffee it made.
I really don't trust. I don't trust machines that like those coffee machines that do it all for you, like especially the milk frothing. I don't trust a machine with my milk, like.
That's fair enough. I mean, you only load the milk that you want, though.
Yeah.
You know what? From watching...
And then you rinse it.
Working in a restaurant, a cafe for 2 years, and seeing people make the milk thing, I would trust the machine to do it better than... Unless you have a really good barista doing it. Everyone else, I'm just like, they're just winging it.
And like that's the thing, it doesn't... It's not going to replace, like, the wicked-ass barista that you like love getting your coffee from. It just means that when you wake up in the morning, you can have a pretty good coffee. Or, whatever. If you're going to be a coffee arsehole, it's pretty good.
I saw... Well, Cam's got more stuff to talk about. Right?
I just threw up a whole bunch of show notes, but I don't have to talk about
it. Cool. One thing I'm trying to think of stuff I've consumed since last week, but the one thing I seem to remember consuming was I saw the movie The Beginners, which is directed by Mike Mills, who, like, the only other feature film he's done is oh my god, I've totally forgotten what he else has done.
Pretty Woman.
It was the one where Keanu Reeves is a dentist. Do you remember that?
Oh, Johnny Mnemonic.
No, that was the one with the dolphin, right?
Yeah. Was it The Matrix?
No.
Point Blank. Point Break.
Point Break. Man, that was such a great movie, Point Break.
Oh, yeah, I was obsessed with it as a kid. You need to go to the Point Break.
Hey, if you've seen... that was directed by the girl who did the Bomb movie that won all the Oscars.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Bomb.
Yeah, the recent one.
Undoing. Which, I guess, if I had seen it when I first heard about it, I might have enjoyed more, but...
The hype got to you.
Yeah, the hype destroyed that movie, because it was...
what was it called?
It had a weird name. Okay, the movie that I was talking about, Mike Mills, the only feature film he did was Thumbsucker. What was it? Point Break. Catherine someone directed it, who was married to the guy who did Avatar, James Cameron. Catherine Bigelow.
Female gigolo?
Yep.
Her name's actually Bigelow?
Bigelow, yep.
Is that I thought that was a made-up name.
I thought they just made that up for the...
To rhyme
film.
with gigolo.
Yeah.
Maybe it was inspired. The Hurt Locker.
Oh,
It was a movie that won all the Oscars. Alright, and Point Break. I love Point Break. It's classic 90s. It's like one of those quintessential... My quintessential 90s, early 90s film is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first movie.
When was the last time you saw that?
I saw it not that long ago, and it still kind of holds up. Compared to, like, Ninja Turtles 2, which I also loved as a kid, doesn't quite hold up.
But
apart from the Ninja Rap.
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. But Ninja Turtles 3 is your favourite in that series, isn't it?
For sure.
Is it actually? Because I remember you fighting with me over that at one point.
Well, I think we watched that guy who does the famous YouTube critique, who critiqued Ninja Turtles 3 and clearly ripped it a new asshole. And he was like me, he was a big fan of the first two. And then the third one totally had nothing to do with the
time
cartoon,
travel.
had nothing to do with the comics, had nothing to do with the first two movies. It just completely went on its own tangent.
I don't know why they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
They sent him back into feudal Japan, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they were samurais.
Okay, so the movie, and also the other movie she did, Catherine Bigelow, was awesome, was called Strange Days. Have you guys seen that?
Is that the one with the downloading things?
Yeah. Like
it's like VR.
Basically you can.
VR?
They have machines,
Virtual reality,
where when someone you can record your memories, right, and then people can download that into their own head and experience those memories in life. So then it becomes a black market thing. So some guy who's a pimp, right, will start recording and then get all his prostitutes naked, like 100 of them, trying to have sex with him at the same time, and then he would sell that recording to other people to experience that for themselves. And then, it gets really, really dark where people pay people to not knowingly be killed. And so people want to experience what it's like to be killed. So they make snuff films, but virtual reality snuff films. And it's a really cool, weird, sort of B-grade sci-fi film you guys should check out. It's got Ralph Fiennes, it's directed by Catherine Bigelow.
I saw a film like that, had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
Oh. Was that called Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah, something like that.
Where you get to kind of pretend to be a barbarian for a few hours.
Nah, it was
Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way.
That's Twins. That's it.
Twins. Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Twins.
Best movie ever.
Fred's favourite movie.
Okay, so
Is this going to be a new segment, Arnold Schwarzenegger?
We talk about him a lot.
Film. He is like this weird. It's funny how when I was a kid, I thought that I kind of just picked, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger as just dumb action stars. They're just like a maximum. But then it's like you look that Sylvester Stallone. He wrote Rocky and he won
Rocky,
man. Best Picture at the Oscars that year, beat Star Wars, didn't it? Famously.
Something like that.
He is this great director. And it's like Clint Eastwood. I thought he was just a dumb star, but no, he directs all his own films, and he's like one of the greatest directors of all time. And they're like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I look back and I'm like, man, he made some really great movies, like the Terminator films and the, obviously our favourite film, Harry True Lies.
True Lies, where he's funny.
Yeah, he's funny,
like
and
badass
action,
funny.
And they're like great films. But they, if you went back to me, I was like
the biggest state in America.
When when I was a kid, I would look back on that, and you could ask me then. I love those movies, but if you asked me, would these hold up? I predicted back then that no, they would not hold up. They would be just crappy 90s movies. But when I see the Blu-rays of them now, I'm like, wow, I'm always impressed.
Yeah, well, I think there was this sort of new masculinity that arose, this almost hyper masculinity of of the Stallone,
big muscles.
Yeah, and it was sort of criticised, and rightfully so, as being quite slapstick and over the top. But it also, I think historically it kind of really represents what was going on at that time. This like hyper aggressive, real primitive style of masculinity, and films like Rocky really deconstruct that myth. That's what Stallone was trying to do. He was deconstructing this myth of male violence and male ambition and these traditional masculine traits, but he fell victim to the sort of commercialization of that, and the commodification of that analysis, really. Because if you look at Rocky or even the first Rambo film,
oh yeah,
he's vulnerable crazy as all hell. He's not an action star in that film. He's this like. He's a veteran who's suffering post-traumatic stress and, is having a nervous breakdown. And he's not like an admirable, amazing guy. He's just someone who's trying to get through life. And the same with the first Rocky. But then Rocky 2 and Rambo 2, you know, the cheese factor gets ramped up, and the thing that the audience picks up on, instead of these, analysing gender roles, instead of that being picked up on, they're like, fuck, we want to see him blow more shit up, or we want to see him punch an even bigger guy out. And it's like, well, that's sort of not what the point is, although it did become the point, you know. And then, you know, I just wonder what these guys made of it, because they were sort of, well, at least Stallone really was in his early works, really analysing these things. But anyway.
Yeah, so by the time I guess discovered all the stuff that, you know, Sylvester Stallone had become a cliche, you know, obviously with all the Rocky sequels and stuff like that, like, I mean, I remember me and Harry as well were big fans of Tango and Cash, and I haven't seen that since we were a kid. I don't know if that still holds up.
I doubt it. I really seriously doubt it. The only thing that was cool about that film was the Gatling gun on the car.
Yeah, we were just so like, wow, that's the most awesome car ever. It's got a Gatling gun on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, Gatling guns were the coolest thing. It was one of those things as a kid, you were obsessed with Gatling guns.
What?
Gatling guns, ball lightning, UFO abductions, the Bermuda Triangle, ghosts, vampires, dinosaurs, asteroids, spontaneous human combustion, diarrhea, fly kicks, roundhouse kicks, dead legs, wedgies, nipple cripples, carpet burns,
Chinese burns. What else are people obsessed with? You know that thing where you take your eye and flip your eyelid inside out? Yep.
People love a bit of that.
Alex can do that really well.
Oh, it used to creep me the fuck out.
Anyway, so how do we get into this? The reason, the movie I saw was The Beginners, was directed by Mike Mills, which I'm guessing you guys probably don't know. The film that I was talking about, his previous feature film was called Thumbsucker, which had a bunch of different people in it, but had Keanu Reeves as a dentist. I don't know if you remember that. It was one of those kind of like...
I think I remember seeing the preview.
I think it came out, but I think it came out before Juno, but it was like very much of that part of that scene where it's like, oh, let's make this indie hip film that's got cool stuff. But I can't really blame that on him because he sort of created that whole ideal. But you guys might know him more for his previous life as a graphic designer. He did. I'm not very familiar like with what he did, but he did a lot of stuff for the Beastie Boys and Air. Okay, so I'm just looking at his website now, and this is an example of one of his Beastie Boys posters. I don't know if that was familiar. You guys as more connoisseurs of Beastie Boys than me. No,
I think Fred's got that, doesn't he?
You would probably appreciate stuff more than I do, Campbell. Like, this is just all his graphic design work. You know, it's very like desaturated and
minimalist and
logos and stuff. So this is his page. You can just see all the graphics, so you can get an idea of what kind of stuff he does. It's all simple illustrations. Anyway, so and you know, I came to know him as a commercial director. He did one of my favorite ads of all time, which was
is it the one where Michael Jordan and Bird are shooting for a Big Mac?
No.
They're like,
that'd be cool though.
Don't you remember that ad? It was a McDonald's one.
No, I do remember him and Michael.
3-pointer, nothing but net. I'll swap you for the burger, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah. And then it was like half court, nothing. Anyway, sorry. And then he gets, off the rafter.
I do remember it was the Michael Jackson
window.
And he and Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan teamed up for my favorite Michael Jackson song, which is Jam, Ain't Too Much, and they're throwing balls from like outside the building and stuff like that. Anyway, he did the ads that I first came to my attention was the Adidas ads, and they had like all different sort of songs by like Moby or Fatboy Slim, and they would have people playing sports or doing something, and he would be sort of be panning sideways, and the people would be doing something in slow motion. It's a really kind of weird effect the way he sort of, I don't know what, and to this day I don't know whether he's actually doing that in camera where the camera is tracking perfectly parallel to the action and it's in sideways, or he's actually panning it in camera like he's creating this one big shot and then he's zooming in and then just going across the image.
Okay.
Anyway, I read this really first. That came to my attention, and I checked out his stuff. And this was back when the internet was really new, so it was really hard to track down his stuff. And eventually, he made a feature film. I was like, yeah, I'm going to. Anyway, this is his second film, The Beginners, and this is like semi-autobiographical, I guess. I don't know this. I'm just assuming from watching it. And it's got Ewan McGregor in the lead role, and he's a graphic designer, and he makes album covers for artists, which is what Mike Mills became famous for. And he, obviously had one big hit with someone, and everyone wants him to repeat that same style for all the albums when he's trying to experiment with new stuff, but no one who will take his pictures on new stuff. They just want him to do,
same thing.
Yeah, I want you to do the same things you did with the Beastie Boys, but on our album. I'm just like, well, don't you want something new that separates you from... And like, no, we just want that same thing. And then he meets this hot girl, who's the hot girl from...
Do I have to guess?
No, the latest Quentin Tarantino movie.
The latest?
The World War II... Inglourious Bastards. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Did you like that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah.
I didn't like the end, but there is sections of that movie that are amazing. Like, I guess it's a series of shorts.
Vignettes
some of those
kind of thing.
Scenes, a couple of scenes are like the best scenes I've ever seen.
Some of them, I mean, it's like Tarantino. Yeah, some vignettes work and some don't. Like, yeah.
But the hot girl who blows up the cinema. Yeah. She's the hot girl in this, and there's a bit of a romance going on. But then anyway, I enjoyed it. That was a long way to getting to that point.
Wow, we went all over the world in different time periods.
People who know Mike Mills will appreciate me talking about it, but since I'm probably one of the few people I'm a big Mike Mills fan.
No, but we went on a big Stallone rant during this as well. And Point Break and...
So you like the latest Mike Mills film?
Mike Mills, thumbs up. Good work, buddy.
Yeah, but it has all the parts, like the girl... When the girl and the guy is played by Ewan McGregor, when they meet, she has like laryngitis or something, she can't speak. So they have to fall in love with, non-speaking methods.
Oh, physically. I know what you mean. I saw a video like that once too.
And there's a very nice, cute dog in it.
Oh, boo.
And
what is this, Marley and Me too? Couldn't they get Owen Wilson back?
No, it is no sand editing for a dog. Don't worry about that. But the father is played by Christopher Plummer. Was he the bad Jedi in Star Wars? Or was that I'm thinking of someone else?
I don't know.
Christopher Plummer. And the bad wizard in Lord of the Rings, wasn't that?
No, that's Alan Lee, isn't it? Alan Lee?
Lord of the Rings.
I should Google it.
That's not Chris. That's Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee.
All right, this is Christopher Plummer.
Sorry, Alan Lee did the illustrations for Lord of the Rings.
What is Christopher Plummer? So you will recognize him as soon as you see him. This guy.
No, he installed my toilet.
Yeah.
No, is he? I don't recognize him actually.
Oh, he's in lots of stuff, and he plays his dad, who, when his mother dies, he comes out as gay at 74 years old. But then he also has cancer, so he's only got like a few years to, experience being gay because he didn't want to cheat on his mother while she was alive. So that's an also interesting side story happening at the same time.
No, that sounds like its own film.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's sort of intertwined, like the cut between the two stories.
So thumbs up.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Now, going back to exhibition at Turner.
Yeah, I went to an exhibition at Turner Galleries in Perth just last week. It was really good. So the exhibition, what is it called?
Turner Gallery, where's that?
It's the top of William Street, right up the top.
William. Oh, yeah.
Right up the top.
Is that city side or Mount Lawley side?
Mount Lawley, I guess, technically. I think it would be over the Mount Lawley side.
So it's not near the Horseshoe Bridge.
No, yeah. If you got to go way up, the far side. So the current exhibition that's on, I don't know what it's called. I think it's called Conrad Boats, maybe. Oh God, I better find out what this thing's called that I'm going to be talking about. think it's called Conrad Boats. It's an exhibition of artists from South Africa. It's a group show, and it's really amazing. It's like proper good, and I guess the main guy in the exhibition. Oh no, the main guy's called Conrad Boats. Sorry, I don't know what the exhibition's called. I don't think it even has a name. Maybe it's called Conrad. Anyway, it's a bunch of contemporary artists from South Africa. They've done sort of an artist exchange, I guess, and brought their works over here to Turner. Conrad Boats did an artist in residency. He's one of the artists, and his work is just like fucking incredible. He's a artist illustrator, makes comics, and for this exhibition he did a whole bunch of oil paintings on glass, like reverse oil paintings on glass.
Yeah.
So what you do is you get a glass pane and you're painting onto it, and then when you present it, you're presenting the unpainted side, I guess, of the glass, so it looks perfectly smooth.
So you have to paint it backwards.
Yeah, so you have to paint it backwards.
That'd be cool.
And the effect is amazing.
And you could kind of scratch bits away.
Well, that's what he does. Yeah,
present it, they illuminate from behind. Or
no, there's no illumination. Just lit from the front. Yeah. And there's with his works, there's no glass that you can see through. Sometimes people have glass that you can see through, but his are just flat, and they're just perfect. They're perfect works. Just astounding. And he did an installation, and there's a wall mural, and then these glass works, and it's just wicked stuff. It's so good, and everything in that show is really good, actually. I haven't been that impressed with the show for a long time, so go check it out. I also went to go see the ECU grad show, so that was all the visual artists working there, and that was absolute shit. I think there were 3 artists in the whole thing that were good. There were some beautiful drawings. But
what makes them bad? Like, just derivative or
derivative,
just
trite, badly executed, badly conceived, and it's fine.
So it's a mix. It wasn't just
everything that could possibly be bad was represented, and it's fine that it's graduate work. So
do they have the same teachers from when you went there? Or
some of them are. The art school's changed a lot since when I was there, though. What's funny though is going to the grad show, and I went with Liz, and we walked around, and it's sort of like we were just pointing at that work and sort of not sniggering, but going, "Oh my god, that's exactly the same as the work that so and so is producing from our graduate year," and we could almost match works in this graduate exhibition of 2011 to works from the graduate exhibition of 2007. So it must be interesting as a teacher to see these.
What's that? Is that the teacher influence?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's just kind of
one teacher has
schools of thought,
passion for one particular area and influences.
Maybe there's a bit of that going on, and you can see that on a school-wide basis. You can see curtain style works, or that sort to that extent. About I guess who succeeds in those areas, but no. In terms of this, it was more like, there's the girl that likes painting figurative things but isn't very good at it, and just wants to paint pictures of her friends and is never going to paint again once she leaves art school. And you can see that there was one of those girls in our year, and then there was one in here, and there's the woman. So
what, they just doing arts units, but
almost like they're doing an arts degree, but then they'll do a +1 education and be a teacher, sort of thing, maybe. But all sorts of stuff, and it must be interesting as a teacher, or frustrating to see these essentially the same. There's the dude who's working with pornography, which was me at uni, and then there was a person like that, and I was like, this is like the sort of work I was making back in uni, and I'll be the first to admit it. And then there's there's the mature age female student who's painting, who's lived in Australia all her life and never travelled, and is painting close-ups of the bark of eucalypt trees, because it was there was someone in our year doing that, and and it's just all this repetition, and it's sort of there are different schools of exploration, but I guess at that level, there are only so many. There are a dozen or so.
Yeah.
And then as people keep on working and keep on exploring, then they specialize more, and then shit gets interesting. And so we went to this grad show, and then a couple of days later, maybe 2 days later, we went to that exhibition that's on at Turner at the moment. the one from South Africa, with all these established artists who are just spectacular, and then you see the difference, you know? Because sometimes you think, oh, well, is there such a thing as good art, or is there quality, or what makes it? And then it's sort of, well, when you see the difference, it's remarkable, you know, where the works that Turner are so considered and so perfectly executed and so on and so forth. But yeah, so that was a bit of gallery watch from me. So don't bother going to see the grad show at ECU, but check out the Turner show.
Poor students' hearts, gamble.
Oh, look, just keep at it. Well, either keep at it or give up and make room
don't.
for... Yeah, or don't. Like, yeah, I don't know what to say.
The Savoy Hotel?
Yeah, I watched a documentary last night on the Savoy Hotel. Do you guys know anything about this? I'm just chucking stuff out there. Savoy Hotel is a hotel in London, just famous. I think putting on the Ritz is a term that originated there.
The Ritz Hotel?
Yeah, but I think the Ritz brothers owned the Savoy originally, or something crazy like that. I haven't done any research. The documentary provided me with no information. Documentary, apparently this is like the hotel in London. It was shut for 3 years, just 2007 to 10, I think, and it reopened. And this was focusing on the reopening, and it was quite interesting. They're bringing back the butler service, which hadn't been there for like 30 years or something, or 40 years. So the the top.
Yes, I stayed in the hotel like across the road from it.
Oh, from the Savoy. Oh, there you go.
Because it's in the West End, so I stayed there because I wanted to go see some shows in the West End. So I couldn't afford the Savoy, so it possibly was closed. If you're saying it was closed,
it might have been closed.
I went.
I think I
went in 2006, so yeah, it would have been open then. If you were saying,
yeah, I think the suites start at £350 a night.
Yeah,
up to £10,000 a night.
It was still pretty expensive for me because I was only there 2 nights, and that was the most expensive hotel I stayed on my whole trip. Because I was like, and that was the most affordable in the West End. Although, you know, if I knew London better, I probably could have found somewhere cheaper. That's like, because everything's like just a tube ride away. But I'm like, no, I would just be convenient and be like, oh, I could just walk to Les Mis from my hotel room. That would be the best place to go. But, you know, I guess if you knew the tube system better, you could find something really cheap and just, it's only a 2-minute tube ride away. That's what I discovered when I lived in Paris, is that all these places you feel like, oh, Paris is this huge city, but you realize that Perth is a massive city in area, small in population.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Perth is almost the size of Paris. It just doesn't have as much stuff in it. So you realise that, like, when I lived there in inverted commas for a month, and by the end of the month there, I was just walking places. I'm like, why even pay for the tube when, you know? Because when I look at the map at home when I'm planning all my stuff, I'm like, oh, I gotta get the tube right there. Because, if they have a train that has to run between them, it must be a fair distance. But no, they just have so many stations and so many trains running so often that, for them it's, obviously a mass transit system, but you could just walk there in 5 minutes. It's not going to shave any time off.
Yeah, right. That's interesting because, so often when travellers come to Australia in Perth, they really miscalculate our maps. Like, they misread maps. They're like, oh yeah, I'll walk to Margaret River, and it's like, no, you don't understand. Or maybe that's an exaggeration, but they're like, oh yeah, tomorrow we're going to drive to Broome.
Yeah.
And you kind of go, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Because that's not possible.
Because, like, there's only, there's not that many. The biggest towns outside of Perth are Albany and Geraldton. So when they look at the map, they're like, oh, that's just a train ride away. But no, you have to drive for, like, 4 to 5 hours to get there. There's no trains that run there except for week trains,
Yeah.
We're also talking, at the other day with Wilson and Nick off air about how they were like, because they live in for them, a town that's our size in Canada, right? It's about 1 million people. We have 1.6, 1.7 in Perth. But they
Teamwork, Harry. Jesus Christ.
But obviously, since we're the capital of an entire state and, the biggest city in like half a continent, and being a fairly well-off place, we have, the money to actually have infrastructure here. So they don't even have... They're like, came here, you guys have trains that go places? They're like shocked that we have infrastructure here. And
really,
we bag it, but per capita we have one of the best public transport systems in the world. I was watching on State Line as well. They told me.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Yet it's still pretty shit.
And what's crazy is that we had apparently before the Labor government bought the Perth to Joondalup line and electrified it, right? They stopped the Perth to Fremantle trains for like 20 years before then. Just the diesel trains.
20 years?
You had to drive to Fremantle. Even though back in the World War II you could get a train to Fremantle, but then they
were planning on turning that into a freeway.
Yeah. And so from 1990 to 2010, 20 years, we've gone from 7 million passengers per year to 60 million passengers per year on our public transport system. And that's just for basic systems. So they're like, if we actually got a real, local system like light rail, like trams, the reality is that Perth people would probably embrace it and it would pay itself off, but the governments are too scared to invest in it because it's like, we want to have a surplus at the end of the budget,
Fuck that.
And Liberal governments apparently never invest in public transport, only Labor governments. So we won't get it until Labor government comes back and we won't get trams and stuff like that until Labor comes. Although, ironically, we used to have trams, but we don't anymore. And now we want them
You should
back.
look into the light rail. Have you done research in the light rail history of WA?
Yeah.
It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of being boring history stuff, it's interesting. The trams used to run down Beaufort Street. Like there's photos of just down the road from my house. Tram stops. Trams. It's just incredible. Yeah, there's this big light rail movement, I guess, in Perth, or lobby group.
Yeah,
and they got heaps of information. That's really cool.
I spent a couple of days, an hour or two on YouTube just watching all these old videos of Perth when we had the tram system, and just looks like a completely different system, a city,
Well, I hate to say it, but it looks like Melbourne almost.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But when I was a kid and I went to Melbourne, right, it was like, check out, they still have trams. Aren't they so cute? Aren't they so cute, We have buses that don't even need wires,
Yeah, now he's laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
Although
the new trams, right, don't even need wires because they're all battery powered. So you just have to put the tracks in the road and they go just...
Yeah.
In fact, if you got big rubber tires instead of those big metal tires, you wouldn't even need tracks.
And they could go anywhere. You could fit big fat
but they're not
ones.
efficient because rubber tires cause more friction on the rail.
And damage to the road. Mm. We should get...
Although it's very scary going around Melbourne because you have to look out for cars that are allowed to turn left whenever they want. And trams
You've got to
do
that dogleg thing where you wait on the left and then you go right the way across.
But it works.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's scary, but it works. It's only scary
I kind of
the first
wish
time
we still... I'd kind of prefer to have, Paris where everything's underground and you just...
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the best.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, if you didn't set that up to begin with, fucking try putting a web of tunnels all through.
Have you guys ever been on the Cat in Perth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just jam-packed.
No, I've never been on it when it's jam-packed.
Really? What time did you go on it?
I don't know.
Every time I've been on it, because it's free and it's the main public transport mode in the city, and it only goes one way, so you have to really think about the route you're taking to get.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You're does it make sense?
Nowadays, I'm just going to walk it.
Because lots of people come in to the museum and ask me for directions and stuff, and they're like, I've heard about this cat bus, where do I go? And I'm like, all right, where do you want to go? And I pull up the map, and they're like, I want to go here, and I'm like, just fucking walk, because that cat bus is going to take you on a big ass loop all the way around town, and it'll be half an hour before you get to your actual destination. But it's a 5-minute walk, so I'm like, I didn't know. Yeah, it's just one way, buddy.
All right, dicks are coming.
Science hour. Any science?
QR codes. What's going on?
Yeah, QR codes. What's going on? I've yet to use a QR code that's been good. I expect exclusive content or something interesting. I know sometimes people set up mini exhibitions and things. I think on when they had the Beaufort Street Festival, there was an exhibition of QR codes. But I'm always disappointed.
QR codes, sorry.
Yeah.
Go finished.
No. That's it. That's it. I'm disappointed with QR codes.
Disappointed. Well, I've just had this revelation, right? QR code's basically just a URL. You take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Can't they get a program that just recognizes URLs and can read www.blah.com.au and just take a picture of that and it takes you to the bloody address?
Yeah, but then you'd know it was just some boring ass website, and you wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
The
QR code seems to have so much potential. You know, it's this glyph. It's a hieroglyph, and you look at it and you think, "Oh my god, it could be anything."
Campbell, it's the unknown,
and then you go there, and it sucks.
Probably,
it's just a web page. It's just someone's Facebook site.
It's all about implementation, but isn't that so with everything, right?
Yeah.
You know, some people you'll see an ad in the paper for Retrovision, say, and they have the QR code there, and the ad says Retrovision, they have the logo of Retrovision, underneath it says retrovision.com, and then they have the QR code, and you scan it, it just takes you to retrovision.com.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
That is totally lame, because I could just type that, that's no issue. But if it's a specific product, like this is hey, what if we're having a special deal, you have to scan it and go to the page to get the deal, and that take you directly to the page, which is like a 200 character URL, that saves me time. That's a useful.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so if you had Retrovision, you open up the catalog, and it had, with every product, it had a little URL, QR code. That would make sense. And then you'd understand.
Yeah.
You'd look at it and you go, okay, if I scan that QR code, it's going to take me to that product.
We actually use a QR code on fangingaround.com if you want to subscribe to our podcast, right?
What does it do? Is there exclusive content?
Is it just
I'm sure the people listening to it have already subscribed, but for just an example, is that let's say that you have you want to subscribe to our podcast, right? Let's assume that you actually are using an iPhone and you've already know how to use a podcasting software that's not Apple's podcasting software, it's just podcasting software. What you would do is you get the app, you have to go to the search section, you have to go to Cidercast, search for Cidercast in the directory. Wrong podcast. Fangin' Around. And then you have to work out how to spell that with iPhone's autocorrect, which is a challenge in itself. You have to tell it to not spell gangling. You have to search it within the directory of your app, and you have to assume that your app has discovered Fangin' Around in the thing, and I don't even know if it's going to work on this particular app. So it's loading, it's still loading. It's a good real-time experiment of
how wicked QR codes are.
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel your pain.
In fact, I'm going to give up on my default podcasting app. It's taking so long. And I'm going to go to Instacast, which is another app, which hooks directly into the iTunes store. I'm going to hit the plus button. I'm going to go to search. I'm going to search for Fangin' Around.
Another reason QR codes suck.
And it hasn't found it. No, if I go, okay, let's go search under title. So
why don't you try with the QR code, James?
Alright, and now it's found it. I select it. I wait for the page to load. And I click the subscribe button, the blue subscribe button. Now I've hit it, right? On the other hand, if you have QR codes, right, you go to fangaround.com, you've already seen the page.
Check it. Let's do it.
Alright,
I'll time this.
You open your QR code program.
2, 3.
And you just hold it in
4,
front. It detects the code.
5.
It's importing it into my podcast app.
6.
And it's there. So done to the same process. In 2 seconds, it took 7 seconds what it took 3 minutes to do before.
Holy shitballs.
So I'm all about QR codes because they save a crap load of time. And the friction
that was at least
is how do we convince people to subscribe to our podcast when it takes 3 minutes to do it normal way? Or what if they just could if iPhones scanned in their normal camera app, just scanned detected QR codes and just activated, said, hey, would you like to go to this link? Boom.
Yeah, why don't they have QR code implementation in the iPhone?
Because they suck.
Camera.
And there's also the argument that all the hipsters hate. They hate QR codes because they're ugly.
Oh, I think they're gorgeous. That's one of the main reasons
And you can beautify them. That the basic mode is black and white and the thing, but most QR codes have error accuracy up to 20% or something like that, which means you can make all the corners curved, you can make them translucent, you can pick your colors, and they will recognize them.
See, I mean, the thing that's for me.
Basically, at the end of the day, they're a barcode, which every product we have in the supermarket has one on them.
Yeah.
So why can't my podcast have a barcode that you can scan to buy the product? Do you know what I mean? Why can't my iPhone app have a barcode to scan the product so that if I'm trying to sell a product app, you just have a QR code on your business card. They're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, just hold your phone there. Boom. In a second.
Boom.
You're at campbellwhite.com and you can see exactly what, and they can bookmark it, they can do whatever they want.
But what?
There's friction, rather than if you say, or check out my stuff, campbellwhite.com, even if they remember your URL, do people actually just go, they have to be really into you to go to campbellwhite.com? Because
it's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
We have to create less friction. The QR code's genius is that it creates less friction to get to content. And then they're there and they see that you're not just full of crap, because you could be just some homie like saying, oh yeah, I'm this great artist, right? And then, but they don't believe it. But if they can just frictionlessly go to your website and go, holy crap, he's producing content all the time. It looks amazing. I instantly engage with his content. I want to, do some work with him. That is a huge benefit. But it's been held back by companies like Apple not building it as a default on the app. So you have to download a special QR code program from the store, which is friction in itself. Because downloading apps from the App Store becomes less frictionless once you have a QR code, because if you have a QR code that takes you directly to the iTunes page, boom, it's so much easier. Anyway, not to mention all the fun things you can do where people who know what a QR code is and they see it, they want to scan it because they want to find out what it is,
Well, that's it. Now I'm hunting. I'm in hunter mode. Like, I see one, I got to scan it. It's like a Pokemon. I got to get that shit. And then I scan it and I find out it's like a shit Pokemon.
Yeah, but that's because the only people using QR codes are stupid people who are doing marketing 101 at Murdoch.
Yeah.
Hey, people like you have got to get into it and make weird stuff and make it interesting posters. Catch
I've got plans. I've got a project that
and maybe
is in the
it
works
takes them
QR
to the
Yeah, I mean,
special image on.
But one of the things for me is like I love the look of QR codes. It's the opposite. I think they look wonderful.
Yeah,
that's what draws me to QR codes.
It's iconic because it looks different to other barcodes. If you saw,
but it's the same sort of thing as a barcode. But
if you just saw a barcode on the wall, you'd just be like, you'd probably walk past it because we're so used to it. QR codes are somewhat iconic because they're different.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Anyway, QR codes, that's what's going on, people. They're still pretty shit.
Get into it. Go to fangaround.com, scan a barcode, and subscribe directly into your default podcast.
Try scanning something. And you can, and people might not know, but you can just make your own QR codes.
Yeah, there's just Google make your own QR code,
and bam, it does it.
Yeah. Bitly.com will, any link that you put into bitly.com to make a short link for Twitter, it'll automatically generate a QR code at the same time, so you've got it there as well. And you can keep track on how many through Bitly, you can keep track of who's scanning how many people are scanning your barcode.
How many people are scanning. But how do they where's this like central database of QR codes?
There's not. It's basically the QR code is the address, like Harry's saying. It's the same as if you had an app that could recognize text and took you to the thing.
It's just a language, like 4 pixels in this.
And the guy who invented it gave it away for free, so it's not like some proprietary crap. That's why I'm worried that Apple's going to come out with some. When Apple implements NFC, they come out with some proprietary system that you have to pay, 50 cents per any NFC chip to insert it into your business card, and so you have to pay 50 cents per business card to have the equivalent system. And I'm sure it'll look more pretty by not having to have a barcode on it, but only iPhones will be able to read it, and it's just it's going to be a mess. Rather than QR codes, the fact that he donated his patent to the world so anyone can use it for free and not have
open
to worry
source
about
goodies.
What's an NFC? No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you've got a recent credit card, you can go to shops now and just wave your card. That's NFC.
Paywave.
Near field, Paywave or
tap and go,
and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Near field what?
Near field communication.
Okay.
All right. What else we got?
I've already talked about musicals. Harry, sunglasses at night.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
People who wear sunglasses at night. What's up with that? Dickheads or just cool?
I'll admit I did it once.
Did you feel cool?
Yes, I really did. Caveat, I bumped into a lot of shit because it's really hard to see with sunglasses at night. It's
So
really
dickhead
hard
then.
to see. Yeah, I think I sat down a lot that night. But perhaps, when we see paparazzi shots of people with sunglasses at night, then maybe they're in really bright places and the paparazzi's going nuts and...
The flashes, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe...
Bad for your eyes. You've also, I find if I have a hangover, you become really sensitive to the light. And you've got to wear sunglasses because if a car comes around the corner and shines headlights into your eyes, you're like, ugh, you get this instant headache. So...
Insta headache. What do you reckon, Harry? What about just for the average Joe? If you still got someone at
obviously, I'm not doubting the fact that people will just do it just for they don't want to be seen without sunglasses.
I think to cast judgment properly, I don't think you can just go on the sunglasses. I think you need to take into account their general demeanour and
overall aesthetic.
Yeah.
Added, body language and all those sorts of things. And
sunglasses probably a tick in the dickhead box, but it's not the only, criteria you need to
that's right.
classify.
If someone's blind,
exactly,
free pass, wear sunglasses anywhere.
If they're like, don't know which way to look.
Yeah, I mean, you do that anyway with sunglasses at night. You don't know where to look. It's true. Well, the one time I did it, that's what I found. Fred was very against it when I did it.
But at the same time, they are a bit cool.
It is a little bit cool. You feel a little bit cool with sunglasses at night.
Just wearing sunglasses is a cool look, though. Like, if you do it well and you got a cool sunglasses.
I also find there's value in the sort of the antisocial aspect, is that you, by not having to make eye contact with anyone throughout the night, that you don't have to feel like you have to connect with someone at all.
You can look at boobs without anyone noticing.
Yeah.
That's true. It is also that element of, I guess, allure and glamour of being removed. When you see someone who is that slightly bit removed from whatever the situation is, you're instantly drawn to them because of that. Yeah,
we're saying QR codes is this mysterious barcode.
That's
you don't
right.
know what's behind.
That's right. And with the glasses,
like
it's the same thing. You think, yeah,
did altogether.
Yeah,
but
well,
it's
it is
also the same thing that you think, what a load of shit or what a wanker.
Yeah,
that's right. And you think QR code, oh fuck me, there's just going to be some bullshit on the other side. And with sunglasses, you think, well, fuck me, there's just going to be some bullshit on the other side.
But there's a possibility it could be gold.
But yeah, you don't know what. Ooh, there could be something really good. Yeah, it's just exact same mechanics at play. Wow, we cracked that chestnut.
We probably unraveled some deep psychological,
shit that's going down.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got Nick's Corner listed here.
What's the fallout from Nick visiting a friend of ours who we haven't seen in 8 years or so?
Came back out of the blue?
He did
all the listeners would remember from last week.
Yeah.
Or the last fortnight.
Last
Canadian extravaganza, Nick and Wilson. But we didn't know Wilson prior to his visit.
He was like a new friend.
He was good. Good value, Wilson.
Wilson was dude.
Wilson
he was very
well
Canadian.
Good.
He was just like, how Canadians are the nicest people on earth. He pretty much lived up to that reputation.
Yeah. He did a service to his people.
Yeah.
He was a credit to his people. That's what I meant to say. Fallout from Nick. There wasn't much fallout, I didn't think. There were no shocking revelations, at least from my side of things.
We never really... Did you guys gossip with him? No.
No, because everything was on the podcast when I spoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no gossiping, really.
It was just really great to have him around.
Yeah. I was...
Is it weird having someone who was like sort of part of the group come back after his time?
No, it was very normal.
I thought it was going to be a bit weird, but it wasn't. It was just awesome.
Do you think that's part of because he's Canadian?
Maybe it was because he's Canadian.
Maybe. I mean...
Do you think it would be different if, like, say, Chen or Brendan came back?
But we
haven't seen them since.
No, that's true, but they faded away of their own accord.
Yeah.
Whereas Nick was, like, almost forcefully removed from the country.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally was forcefully
he's a rent out
from the country. you know, he had to leave. Whereas Chen and Brendan, they just sort of drifted away. Yeah. So that would be a little weird.
I think Brendan sort of also moved to Sydney, didn't he? I don't know. I don't know where he is.
But Nick always had a very outgoing sort of personality, easy to get along with, sort of.
Yeah, it was funny. He was outgoing, but also very quiet at the same time.
Yeah.
But when he walked in, like the first time I saw him since when he was back, I was in the living room here, and he walked in the door, and it was just like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I looked at him, I was just like, oh shit, you know, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. You know, just in that instant, I was like, oh, back here again. You know, so it was almost like there wasn't that gap, at least for me, which is odd. In a good way. Odd in a good way. Yeah, so it was good having him back. I think I'll probably see him next year because Liz and I and Nazario are going travelling at the end of the year, and we're going to the States / Mexico. So probably see him end of next year, which is going to be good.
We were talking on part of the Webathon last week. I had Harry's lady friend / wife on the show, and we were talking about like sort of our perceptions of things, blah blah blah. And I was going to ask you: have you seen Dogville, Campbell?
No.
Dogville and is part of a trilogy that Lars von Trier is in the process of making. He's made the first two. I don't know how the third one's coming along, whether it will happen or not, but he is terrified of aeroplanes.
Oh, right, yeah.
And probably boats as well. So he is...
Probably. Do you know that, or are you just saying that? Because they're very different machines.
I don't know. Anyway, basically, he has never been to America, and he never plans to go there. And this trilogy of films are based... his American trilogy. So it's purely based on his perception of America, based on all the media he has consumed.
Yeah.
And he's making these 3 films. Like, I've seen the first 2. Don't know what's happening with the third one.
What's the other one? Dogville?
And Mandalay? Something like that? Mandalay?
Was Dogville with Nicole Kidman?
Dogville was Nicole Kidman. The second one was the girl from Lady in the Water that...
Oh, yeah.
What's his name's obsessed with? His muse. M. Night Shyamalan's muse. Lady Muse.
Yeah, what's her
both
name?
redheads. They play the same character, but they're different actors. I think.
What's her name? She was in Terminator Salvation.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man 3. Houston, Dallas. Isn't it Dallas?
Yeah.
Dallas something. Dallas, Houston? Houston, Dallas? Dallas.
Yeah, Mandalay is the name of the film, the sequel.
So anyway, Dogville.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. She is Mr. Howard's daughter.
She plays Grace. Yes.
Ron Howard's daughter.
Howard's daughter.
Yeah,
yes.
One of his daughters. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know what the third film will be called if they ever make it.
Anyway, Dogville, Bryony said, was about...
No, this was just something I was saying. And I'm like, what is... We obviously grew up watching maybe Sesame Street and various American things. You've been to America. Harry, have you been to America?
I've been to America.
What? You obviously had perceptions of America before you went, and then you went there. How did it all relate?
I always had really negative perceptions of America, like big bad, like
Tango
commercialized,
Cash.
Like stupid country always invading our culture. Also full of themselves, arrogant, loud, sunglasses at night, dickheads. And I went there, and it was like fucking awesome. I loved it. I totally got in. You totally understand the culture, and they're also obsessed with their own culture. And you get there, and you're like, yeah, it's actually fucking cool. I can see what you're on about there. Hamburgers are actually great here. Hamburgers,
Did you go
the shitty hamburgers that you come over to Perth with.
Did you go to In-N-Out Burger?
Didn't go to In-N-Out Burger.
No, I did.
What was that like? Was that an experience?
Did you get a bit of In-Out?
We went through the drive-through In-Out style. It was alright. I wasn't that
blown
impressed.
away.
No. Okay. Anyway, that's beside the point. Harry's telling a story.
Yeah, just America. I loved it.
Would you ever live there? I have this big fear of the fact that they don't have, national health insurance. Do you know what I mean?
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
I would never live there.
Because right at the moment, I can't afford...
Unless I could afford healthcare.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I would not
right
live
at the moment,
there.
because I don't have a job, I can't afford private health insurance, so I'm purely relying on Medicare.
But that doesn't matter because, like, if you're fucked up, you'll go to hospital and you'll be okay. Like, fuck off. Like, if you're in the States and you break a leg and you're not insured and then you can't work for 9 months or 6 months, fuck, you are screwed.
Yeah.
You'll probably be homeless.
Your whole life is over.
Yeah. The next 10 years, you'll be paying that shit off. Fuck that. And you can't control that stuff. You can't control... You don't know if you're going to break your leg. You don't know if you're going to get sick, get pneumonia. You know, like, you don't know what's going to happen. And then, oh, man, it blows my mind that they don't have healthcare. And it blows my mind the people that are against, like, national healthcare. Like, it's some communist shit. Fucking hell, it's just looking after people. It's not even that crazy. It's not even the dole.
Yeah.
Like, I can sometimes I can understand people getting up in arms about... I mean, I'm on benefits. Like, but I can understand why some people would rationalize that that's a bad thing to support dole bludgers or whatever. Like, I can understand how you'd go down that train of thought, but fucking denying people healthcare, that's insane to me. That's
communist.
privatizing
the whole...
Fuck that country.
I feel like...
Capitalism or communism?
No, the communists. They got
like
by
the communist
balls.
threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it still got them, like, 50 years later, they're like...
Still fighting it.
Yeah.
I just feel like the whole, like, living in America is like, is kind of like going to a casino with $1,000 and all dropping it in one hand and just seeing what you come with. Like, you can become this big star in Hollywood, or you can break a leg, not have health insurance, and be homeless and die on the streets.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a gambling, and it's sort of for me, or at least my experience while I was there, I got the impression that it was very like, you got to fight for your shit over there. Like, you got to fight for what you want over there. You know, there's no backup.
Yeah, this is ultimate capitalist reality. Like,
you've
got to make money or die.
Yeah. You succeed or you die, kind of thing. Whereas over here, it's really cushy. Like, even if, you know, people still fall through the gaps, and, you know, there are still gaps in what, you know, where we need to, I guess the government needs to, you know, fill those gaps so people don't fall through. But there are lots of steps along the way, you know. There are lots of support services and lots of, you know, I mean, we've got a booming homeless population at the moment that's just ever increasing, but even so, it's nothing compared to the States. It's just... it's scary over there. But also, having said that, that sort of environment breeds really driven people.
Yeah.
You know, some of the most driven people I've ever met were the people in the States, because they know they've got to succeed. There isn't a backup plan.
Yeah.
There's no plan B. Like, it's like, you make it or you're going to be homeless, sort of thing. And
but that just make for highly strung, like...
Well, yeah,
out,
shit's intense.
out,
yeah.
Unhappy people?
Yeah, I guess.
Also means that, like, you know, I noticed in the film industry where there's Americans are shocked that our films in Australia are funded by the government. They're just like, what the hell? The government pays you to make movies? Surely that's great, but obviously that means that you know, there's only a few movies made in Australia, you know.
I'm laughing, yes.
Yeah. And B, only the people who get the movies made are the people who are friends with the people who are appointed to give the funding to, you know. In the capitalist
kind of
society...
like arts funding as well.
Yeah, in the capitalist society of America, all movies are funded by private investors or companies, right? So that, because it is a fully sort of capitalist system, so that, you know, the best ideas get funded because they want to make... Those people who fund it want to make money, you know. It's like this system where... you know, if you're bad, you know, obviously there's still the issue where, you know, bad ideas aren't recognized, you know. You know, if imagine, like, I talk about, like, Jonathan Ive at Apple. Imagine if he went to another company that wasn't run by Steve Jobs and said, hey, I want to make an entire computer that's carved out of a single block of aluminium, right? It just wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Steve Jobs, if he went to Dell or HP and said that. But at the same time, you know, he gets the opportunity to do that because, you know, Steve Jobs said, hey, there's a chance we can make money on this and make this great computer that just becomes the most popular laptop in the world, which the MacBook has become.
The laptop.
Flap-flop.
Flip-flops.
Yep. So there's that interest. But so you're full on, you're pro, you're like, America exceeded your expectations, Harry? You went there thinking bloody people, all they care about is football and themselves.
Yeah.
But you were like, the cool things can happen there too.
I was like, fucking football, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go and see some of that shit.
What about you, Campbell?
I was there and I was sort of in a bubble of artists. I was living in an artist-run space called Million Fishes in San Francisco in the Mission District, and it was sort of like 16 artists, so they were already kind of fringe people, and so maybe it's like an exception, but they were just amazing people, and that suburb, the Mission District, was at the time really amazing, and yeah, so I loved it there. And in terms of my expectations, I guess it sort of met some, and you know, there are lots of interesting observations and things, unexpected elements. One thing that blew me away was, I guess, the how polite American people are and courteous.
I know, that's crazy, isn't it?
I was really shocked, and I think there's a difference between Americans in America and Americans on holiday.
Yeah.
Because when on my trip, I'd been to Japan and I'd been to England and I'd been to Paris before going to hitting the States, and man, the American tourists were just, I almost wanted to deck some of them because they were just so loud and obnoxious and ignorant. And I mean, this is it doesn't sound very nice, but these were my observations when I was in these foreign lands. I was like, holy shit, another American being foul. And ignorant and disrespectful. And then you go to their own country, and good God, they treat you nicely. They're so polite and friendly and helpful. And I was blown away by that because I wasn't expecting it at all. I was not expecting that. And I think that's part of the tipping culture, Like, if you're out and about, you got to be, the wait staff need tips to survive. So I think that trickles through, like, all of the businesses. So wherever you're doing commerce, like, people are good to you. So I was in San Francisco. When I went to New York, that was like walking into a cliche. Because New York's probably like the most filmed and documented city in the world ever, right? Definitely.
But when I was a kid, I thought
I guess we're talking
New
about
York
Manhattan.
City was like the capital of the world. Like,
yeah, pretty much, right?
Everything we have. Obviously, they have the capital. Maybe that's because the UN is centered there, but I don't know where that came from. But obviously, the quintessential movie of my youth, which was Ninja Turtles, was set there.
Yeah, Manhattan, right?
And then even when I got older, Independence Day was one of the first cities to be blown up.
Yeah. But it's just so. New York was just such an amazing cliche for me. Just every box was ticked, and I wasn't even trying.
Yeah.
And in that regard, it was sort of like a neutral experience because I felt like every second of being in New York, I'd already done it about a dozen times. And I'm not one of those people that are in love with New York. Some people are like, holy shit, New York, New York. I went there and I was sort of a bit indifferent to going. And when I was there, I was like, oh, yeah. It just felt familiar, so familiar.
Well, New York's the only place that I went to, so like...
Oh, right.
And I was only there for a short amount of time, so I didn't get to experience the shit stuff. I only got to experience the awesome, cool stuff.
Yeah. But did you get that sensation as well?
Everywhere
I've
you went,
seen
you
it.
just be like, whoa, I know that place.
Yeah, you almost feel like you know it.
Yeah. I've been
from
here
watching
before,
so many shows and films set in there.
I have this really weird experience of New York where I got really obsessed with Grand Theft Auto 4, which is filmed in Liberty City, which is based on New York, but it's almost exactly like New York, but shrunk down. But I got so into anyone who knows the game will know what I'm talking about when I say this. But I got to the point where I did not skip taxi rides. I drove to places and I followed the speed limits because I was just so absorbed in this game, this world, that now whenever I see a movie or a TV show that's set in New York, I recognize every corner of the street. I see, just the famous landmarks, but just the weird random streets I recognize, and I feel like it's like deja vu, like I lived there once, because for that 3 weeks when Grand Theft Auto came out, I was just so immersed in that artificial version of it. Not to mention, as I said, 1991 and Ninja Turtles and all the other movies that I've seen set in that area. But I haven't been to America at all. But I think it would be so weird, especially going to New York and just going there and feeling like deja vu, like it's my second home, because in my imaginary world, so all these movies I've seen and stuff are set there. Yeah, I don't know. I also, the other big American thing that I'm really absorbed is Friday Night Lights, which is set in Texas somewhere, and I sometimes wonder if I'd go there, will I recognize that world, because it's based on Friday Night Lights, which is such an immersive show that's in that kind of...
Is that a film and then made into a show?
It's everything ever.
It was like a news article that turned into a book, that then the book was turned into a movie, and then the movie was turned into a TV show.
And there's a kids' picture book coming out
probably
for Christmas.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. No, there isn't a kids' picture book out.
Okay. That was funny though.
Thanks.
But anyway, really, we were talking about this with Bryony for ages, but
what was Bryony's verdict? Can we throw a bit of hearsay into it?
I don't know. You have to go back and listen to the...
Is there a QR code for going back? Can you sum up?
I can't remember.
Make it
Harry, you were there. You were there with Bryony. What were her impressions? I seem to recall her being quite thrilled.
Yeah, she was thrilled.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was a bit with me.
She a big New York fan?
Yeah.
Yep. No.
So I didn't expect that. I thought you guys would be like picking it apart, going,
well, I didn't want to go. Like, I'd
England.
be like, oh, America, do we have to go? And Brandy's like, oh, it'd be awesome. We're going to New York. It's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
But like, I went and I was like, man, this place is.
Because so I mean, when I know, so many.
I want to go to Starbucks. Like, if I go to Perth and like, if I go to Sydney and I see a Starbucks, I'm like, oh, fucking Starbucks.
Yeah, but when you're there,
go there. When you're American, you're like, fucking Starbucks. Let's go to Sydney. Starbucks. Let's go.
You should go to Seattle.
Oh shit, there's another Starbucks that's going
to
to there. But
yeah, well,
everything about it was.
There's hot dog vendors and shit, and you go to Chinatown and. Like the fire engine in Chinatown have dragons on the side.
Yeah.
I have this very biased opinion where the two sort of industries that I follow the closest are like technology and video games, which are almost the same industry, I guess, if you look at it in broad appeal, but it's all centered around San Francisco. Like Apple and Google and Silicon Valley are all around San Francisco. The whole video game industry, although it's obviously diversified outside of Japan, the center of video gaming is San Francisco as well. It's this, and that attracts artists because these video games are so big budget. Then they hire so many artists, and obviously Pixar's near there.
Yeah.
They are employing so many artists to create stuff. You were there in an artist, space. It feels like, to me, my perception is the art capital of the world. Like, did you get that perception? Is that why you went there? What was it?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the reasons we went there. It was just because the art scene is so all-encompassing almost, And
it's not one of the big cities. It's not like, we grew up knowing about LA and New York and I guess Chicago, but...
Well, for me, San Francisco was always, up there with New York.
Yeah.
Golden Gate.
I only knew San Francisco from Full House.
Well, for me, I went to San Francisco when I was really young, so I guess it's always been in my mind, like, as a place in the States, like a place of importance as well.
Yeah, San Francisco.
So how come you went there young?
I don't know. My folks just went.
Your
to
dad's
the States.
an architect. Was he interested?
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of
the architecture.
Interesting architecture there. I don't know actually. Well, I think. Oh, shit. I'm just going to sound like an ignoramus. No, where else did we go though? I think we drove down the coast for a fair bit. So. Yeah, look, I can't even remember. Yeah. And we wound up at, Frank Lloyd Wright had a whole bunch of buildings, but they were, in Arizona, I think. Oh, fuck me. I don't know. I'm going to have to go through it and check it out. But yeah, we're in California. We went over the Golden Gate Bridge.
That's probably another conversation, but having your dad as an architect, does that influence you? Like, is he always, my dad being a biochemist, he's obsessed with science, so he's always analyzing stuff, and he's always... I talk to him, we don't live together anymore, but when I talk to him on the phone, he's always wanted to talk about technical stuff, about stuff like that. Does that influence you at all? Like, he's...
I don't I think only...
Was that ever imparted on you, the fact that your dad was an architect and he's always talking about stuff that's architecture related?
But he doesn't really.
Okay, he's not that.
I push him. Now, the last maybe 9 years or so, I push him on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, he knows a shitload about this sort of thing, and so it's interesting.
You want to get his perspective.
Yeah, when you kind of switch and you realise that education's really a good thing. I don't know. For me, in high school, it's sort of like, oh god, this is a pain in the ass. But then when your mind switches and you realise, oh wait, having access to someone who knows a lot about a topic is actually a huge asset. So you go to university and, and then you've got access to it. But then it's like, oh well, my dad's actually a specialist in this field, and so I'm always like, oh, what do you think about this, and what do you think about that, and what do you think about the brutalist movement, and have you seen this building over here, and because I don't know because Dad didn't push or
you were never influenced by that.
Not that I remember. I don't remember him talking a lot about that sort of stuff.
But he's got a pretty strong sense of style and
yeah, he does. Yeah, and aesthetic. Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and your dad Harry was a carpenter, so and
your mum was a lady.
A lady.
It's a song.
Oh, okay. And obviously in my family, your dad was sort of like worship because my mum was like. It's always commissioning him to do something because she loves your dad's work. But do you ever and I remember you, growing up, you had a toolbox and every birthday you got like a tool or something like that.
That was from my cousin.
That wasn't related to your dad? Did Dad never...
No,
Dad... Just the carpentry never influenced you? Or?
Dad used to pinch the tools out of my toolbox to use them. Because my cousin every year he'd buy us a nice tool. And Dad don't have one of those.
So you never obviously, we've talked before about your amazing bed.
Yeah.
Did it influence your life at all? Or was just that's just what Dad does, Or did you sit there? And I remember he made me probably because he made you this walking stick out of a black boy. I don't know, we don't even say that anymore, but and he made me one as well because I was like, that was so awesome. Was that just normal for you, or you never?
No, I think I always really appreciated the things that you made.
So you appreciate handmade things more than
I
mean, obviously your mum is also, and I never knew this till later. I don't know what she was like when I was younger. I never appreciated when I was younger, but your mum when I was older, she's full into felting now.
Oh yeah, well this is a recent obsession.
Yeah,
felching.
No cow. Felting.
I suppose the thing that always really influenced me was just the perfectionism.
Yeah.
My dad was a really big perfectionist about everything that he did, and he'd spend a lot of time, he'd make everything really perfect at the expense of, being functional or sort of practical. It always had to be perfect.
Yeah.
And meet his high standards. I suppose that's probably the thing that's influenced me more than anything that I remember about his stuff.
It's it's weird how I mean, I'm not, my dad was a scientist, my mum was a lawyer, and I'm almost the complete opposite, being a crappy poor artist. And you're a scientist, and your dad is like a craftsman, and I don't know what your mum would call herself, but she's
I don't know either.
But obviously with a recent felting, she considers her a craftsman herself as well. But it's weird how they influence your lives unintentionally, and you kind of sort of always rebel against that. But I mean, I do see similarities in my mum and my dad about stuff that I do. So my dad was very interested in computers, and I have interest in technology. My mum is very argumentative and stubborn, and I guess you guys do be like that. But yeah, it's an interesting thought. What's your mum call herself?
My mum, she's a teacher.
Yeah.
She teaches.
Does that influence you? Did she teach while you grew up, or was she like more?
Not really. She worked for Calm for a while.
But I know you always talk about her being, almost. Her interest maybe in Nintendo games drives purchases in your house and stuff like that. Like, just her interest stuff.
Well, I think her support of that.
You.
Yeah, I think her support of that kind of that style of entertainment kind of, I guess, had a huge influence on me. Because if she wasn't supporting it, Dad probably wouldn't have. So that would have been that. That's, But because Mum was like well into it, she was just like, yeah, we'll just get this and we'll get that, and so. Yeah, and that's hugely shaped. I mean, that was one of the primary kind of sources of entertainment as a kid. I read a lot of books and saw a lot of films, but video games were really kind of the touchstone kind of media form. Yeah, so that was a huge influence. That's probably one of the biggest things that shaped. The sorts of things I'm interested in. Maybe.
What about your sister? Do you see stuff? Your sister, like, is there any similarities you go? You're like,
between me and her?
Yeah, is she into?
Probably not in terms of interests, but in terms of no, not really. No,
she's taking her own.
Yeah, she's doing her own thing, and like, I mean, I can see attitudes that she has that I have or had. So I look at her and what she's doing, and I'm like, oh yeah, I understand that. But, beyond that, I don't know.
Campbell's Corner, wristwatches.
Look, I read a whole bunch of show notes, so I don't know. But, yeah, wristwatches. So, about a fortnight ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, I broke my watch. So I had this watch that I got in Japan, and it was sort of an LED watch that displayed the time as a graph. And,
so you wore a watch?
Yeah.
Always.
A lot of the time. Yeah, you probably didn't notice. But I went to leave the house and I swung my satchel over my shoulder and the buckle from the satchel just landed like perfectly. Just everything just had to line up absolutely perfectly for this to happen. And the buckle swung over my head and it swung down and my wrist came up at the same time and I just heard this and I knew straight away. I was like, oh, fuck me. Anyway, the glass is just gone. And, it's one of those watches where it's like you can't replace the glass on it. And it's not even, it'd probably be cheaper to buy a new one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was without a watch for a while and a bit disoriented. But I bought a new watch and it cost me $10 from Just Jeans.
Did it really?
Just Jeans? Yeah.
I was
in Just Jeans getting some jeans and I saw this watch at the counter and I was like, oh, how much is that? And they were like $10. And I was like, okay, I'll just get it. And it was going to be a in-betweener watch, it's even got... Oh, I was supposed to take that off. Okay, it's still got a sticker on it. I didn't even notice. It's $10 and it tells the time infinitely better than my previous watch, which was a lot more expensive. But it was absolute shit at telling the time. You had to press a button and then it would light up and do a little animation, and then I'd spend about 30 seconds trying to figure out what the time was because it displayed it so interestingly.
Call me crazy, but there's this thing called digital watches that just say the time.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. Well, I don't have a problem with analog watches.
Watches are easier to read the time than digital watches. I've always had this thing.
Mine just says, well, I don't wear watches anymore, but mine used to say 6:34 p.m. and I just say, it's 6:44 p.m.
But this displays it in a graphical format, whereas in your mind you have to read 6:34. Okay, that's 6:34. That's it's going to be nighttime. It's kind of towards the end of the day. 6:34. That's after 5. Whereas if you look at the thing, you look at your wristwatch, and it's like 6:34. Okay, so the big hand's down there. That means it's sort of halfway through the 12-hour cycle. So,
but this is touching on what I was about to move on to, because so I've gone from a watch that displayed it was a unique system of time displaying, and it wasn't a digital watch in the way that James is talking about, where it's written. But moving into this back into an analog watch, which I have worn in the past, I just have found a greater appreciation as to how well analog watches display the time and help you form a I guess, a physicality of the way time works. Where the hours are broken down.
How
much is left of an hour?
Go,
how much you've got cut into it.
What proportion of an hour? Or
it's like a time pie chart that's constantly going, and it's really helped me a lot. Actually.
No interpretation needed. It's all there,
and the visual element of it, and it's an alright kind of looking watch. It's it's not
I
great,
like that watch,
but it's
$10.
And for $10, if it breaks, well, I'll get another one.
If money was not object, what watch would you get? Do you have a...
I don't, but I have been, because I thought this was just going to be an in-betweener watch, I was looking, and I like really simple watches. Like, even this is people at home can't see this, but it's black-faced watch, silver body, this black faux leather strap, white numbers on a black face, 3 hands. It's pretty minimal, but I'd like one that's even has less on it. So still all the numbers, still 3 hands, but just even simpler, because this has got a tachometer or whatever, and it's got extra numbers, and I don't need that. I don't want a calendar. That doesn't interest me. But if money was no object, probably just a really nice simple analog watch with a mechanical movement. Like one of those self-winding ones with a motion system and an exposed back, because it's just gorgeous with that. But I don't really care. I don't like really big showy
gig.
I don't like big watches. I don't like really.
That seems pretty big to me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's big, but it is quite big, but not. Some people have just enormous.
So you've always
watches.
worn a watch before now, and I just never paid attention. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, on and off, yeah. Not every. I probably wouldn't wear them
How do you decide
tonight.
when to wear one?
Well, I probably wouldn't wear one tonight.
All right.
Usually,
so you take it off.
But now I wear this all the time.
Okay.
Because I think the previous one was so inefficient at reading time that it was probably more of a style thing just to wear it.
I mean,
like as a piece of jewelry.
I haven't worn a watch since I had a phone that I took with me everywhere.
Yeah.
And if I need, as I got older, I've got increasingly better at just guessing the time.
Yeah, right.
So I found that I can almost just guess the time and not have to look at a watch as it is. I can generally gauge the time. Like, the only times that I need a watch is more where I need to set a timer and say, okay, I know in this situation I'm going to lose track of time, so I want to set an alarm to remind me to say, you have to stop doing this now.
Yeah, right.
Also, but obviously, if money was no resource, I also, as aspiring to be some kind of watch geek that I not really am, I would want the ones that they took to the moon. Isn't the Omega Seamaster or something?
Yeah. They recently.
Because I'm like, well, what happens if I'm in apocalyptic situations where I lose track of time? Well, what if I had the ones they took to the moon? They would keep me instead, right?
You wouldn't want a Submariner's watch? No, I guess.
I mean, iPhones, I have to change my iPhone every day. What happens when power runs out? You don't want to have to...
Your iPhone will be...
That's true.
Yeah.
They recently re-released editions of the watch that Yuri Gagarin, am I saying
Gagarin?
Gagarin wore when he made his orbit. I think they'd be very expensive.
Are they Russian?
Yeah.
Communist?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's actually a really beautiful watch design and quite simple. But I don't know the specifics of it. And being in Russia, there's probably an actual re-release every year and hundreds of knockoffs and so forth. So it's probably not so hard to find.
If I could design my own phone, getting into my own politics, own watch, getting into my own politics, is that I personally believe the world should be on UTC.
We've spoken about this before.
So everyone should be on UTC, and what time things open and close should be culturally decided. That's up to you. So everyone knows. I live in a world where I live on the internet, and so knowing what's happening at what time in what city is important to me. Other people who live in one city and they never leave it obviously don't need. That's not important to them. They so rarely have to translate time zones that they don't appreciate what that means. But my life lives around world events. UTC is really important to me, and I would like a watch that at least had UTC first in big letters and then in small letters said the local time.
But you can get that. You can just get a watch with 2 different time schedules and you just set one at UTC.
Well, you probably can, but I want UTC as a dominant time. I want it to say boom, 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 and I want to...
Is the time on your phone UTC? And if not,
It's
why
Perth
not?
time.
But UTC only works if
Because there's
everyone's
only one
using it,
time.
doesn't it? So is anyone else using UTC that you know?
Everyone uses UTC. We just use it scaled to our particular
Location.
location. So it's exactly what you're saying.
No, but it's not. Okay. Well, but people don't advertise that, right? Okay, so I do my other podcast.
Maybe
I do
talk
on
about
Jim
you.
Rich
Can you
FM
give a rundown of what UTC is, just quickly?
Is Universal Time C? I don't know what C stands for.
Universal Time C.
Yeah, so
idiot.
basically Universal Time, which is Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, so that's Perth. We thankfully don't have daylight savings, so we have to worry about the bullcrap of having to change your time arbitrarily at some time during the year that no one knows when it is.
Coordinated Universal Time, but they decided to put the C at the end, otherwise it would be cut.
So that means that's at one time that everything's based on, but the thing. So obviously my other podcast other than Fangin around that I joined Jim Rich FM's Cidercast. If I want to know so I'm following events that happen in San Francisco, Paris, London, New York, Florida, which is the same time as New York, but they also have different, you never know whether they're on certain places or on daylight saving times or not. So I just want to know the one time, I want a consistent time where I can look at my clock and go, okay, that's 8 hours away from now, so I can keep track of it. Instead I have to go to every time there's some events on, if they don't give me the Perth time, which Perth is on a great time zone. Thankfully, now that we have daylight saving, we're in a great time zone. So we're on the same time as like Beijing and Hong Kong and stuff like that. So we don't have to, they always show you the Perth time on these events. But I don't want to have to work out what the time is between these two. So, like, for most of the year, we're exactly 12 hours away from New York, which is convenient. But then they go to daylight savings for a certain period, so then I lose track of whether are they 11 hours behind or 13 hours ahead. I don't know.
So what does UTC mean in that case for them? How would you...
UTC times, the whole world is on the same time zone, right? China does this, right? The whole world is on Perth time. The whole of China is on Perth time, which some people, disadvantages people in certain parts of the country because... these factories that want to work at the same time as the factories in the east of China as the west of China, they have to wake up in darkness. But I think that should be culturally decided what time shops would open because, if we want to deregulate shopping hours, everyone's like, oh, let's deregulate shopping hours. Okay, let the shoppers open. Well, why don't we deregulate time and say anytime, let's set our times to Greenwich Mean Time and just do that.
But then if we're doing that, like in the case of China, right, say in the West Coast, they're saying, all right, we're having to get up too early. So, like, whatever the time zone is, over East, sure, they're getting up at 10, but we're going to get up at 12 because, it's still dark. So our trading hours are 12 to whatever, and then the East Coast trading hours are 10 to whatever. And then you're still having to figure out, or look at, hold a stick, what are the East Coast trading hours? Look that up. What are the West Coast?
Yeah, but you have to do that anyway. You have to look that up anyway.
Yeah, so how does this change anything? Is it just for news?
No, because it's convenient because one time is set. So this press
for a meeting or something,
is going to happen at 2 a.m. It's going to happen 2 a.m. at any time in the world, no matter what.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to set up a video conference with someone in the Eastern States,
you just go, it's at 13.
If I'm like, okay, I have a friend who lives in England,
well, it would never
6 months a year. I have one of my best friends lives in England 9 months a year, lives in Finland for 3 months a year. We should be able to say when we want to meet up and do a Skype call, I should be able to say, oh, we're going to do it at 3 a.m. I don't have to worry about whether she's in England, whether she's in Finland, whether she's on summertime.
So why don't you agree with that person to use UTC?
Imagine if Perth had daylight savings as well. So I had to work out whether Perth was on daylight savings times, Finland had daylight times, or whether she was in England or Scotland, blah, blah, blah.
But why don't you use the time zone from 0, which is UTC, right?
Well,
that's what I'm saying, is the whole world should revolve around that. And if people want to know what culturally we do stuff, which is culturally is location based, people get in and their phones just work out the use their GPS, right, to recalculate what the average opening time for most businesses are, so they can instantly do that rather than worrying about all the politics surrounding whether we have daylight savings or blah, blah, blah. Anyway. Okay. We came from Campbell's wristwatches.
I've been looking for a wristwatch for ages.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. I want something really simple and basic, but like it's really.
But you got an iPhone now. Checking your iPhone's not.
No.
But it's different.
I want to be able to look at my wrist just like, oh, yeah, that's the time.
Okay, but
I don't want to have to take it out of my pockets to drag.
Yeah, you take it out of your pocket.
So you guys don't agree with me that as I've got older, I've got better at just guesstimating time.
No, guesstimating time.
I'm so bad at guesstimating time. I'm so inefficient with my time. I was late for shit. Like,
yeah.
I need to be
but like guesstimating. But then you could just do this, and you know the time. Taking my phone out of my pocket, pressing the button, unlocking it. Whatever.
Well, you don't have to unlock it, you just click the top button.
But even so, it's like the difference between doing this and doing this.
Times are wasting.
Yeah. It's a motion thing. Anyway.
Who's the hottie now?
Yeah?
This is, you've written down Buffy the film versus Buffy the TV show.
Yeah, right.
So I guess I'm forgetting that the TV... Who's the TV?
Do you have this plugged in?
Well, I was never
bring it up on the big
TV
screen
show, so I've got to say the movie.
Yeah, I was a massive fan of the film when I was a kid.
So you guys are pro film. You're in the minority.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's all like, "Oh, his original vision was destroyed by the film," but I didn't know anything about that. I just saw the film.
I appreciate it.
I didn't even know what a director was. I was just like, "Okay, this film's awesome." And then the series came out, and I was like, "What? Why didn't they get the same actor?"
Kirsty Swanson, that's right. It's from The Chase. So it's Kirsty Swanson
versus
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Never a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar, gotta say.
And I didn't like the TV show, to be honest.
Need to know.
That's the poster for
Buffy
the Vampire Slayer then.
Oh, yeah.
And it had Luke Perry in it as well. Holy shit.
Oh, and this guy, Don Sutherland. He was
the vampire master dude who trained her.
So let's look at Kirsty Swanson now. So back then, you guys are more of a fan of Swanson?
Definitely.
Yeah, Swanson. Even when the Buffy show started, I was like, what is this poser shit?
I was more of a fan of Swanson from The Chase with Charlie Sheen, but I was a fan of the movie. I didn't see... I should analyze it more, but I...
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if we can find photos of Kirsty Swanson today.
Some pretty nice photos there.
Maybe this is her.
Wow, that's augmented.
I've seen Sarah Michelle really because I sort of watched the first few episodes of the new TV show.
There were some better photos than that there.
Yeah, but I don't know what's today or what's the most recent photo. This might be her today.
What about that one right in the middle?
This one,
yeah.
Yeah, but when was this taken? We want to know who's the hottie now. Kirsty Swanson. Let's see if she's had an IMDb.
IMDb is usually the
most unflattering photo.
Oh, nice headshot. She's wearing a beanie in this photo. She's still cute.
Yep. I reckon she's still the hottie now.
But you're anti-Michelle. See, this is the movie I'm familiar with her from.
Wow.
The Chase of Charlie Sheen. The hottest sex scene ever while they're driving at the same time. You guys are going to check it out. Have you not seen The Chase?
I've never seen The Chase.
It's like a cult hit of 90s movies. Man.
Oh, was she in Flowers in the Attic?
Apparently so.
There you go. Didn't know that.
Sarah Michelle Gellar hasn't changed that much. I've been watching a new show.
Well, then she'll be ugly.
She's got a new show called
The Twin or something?
Yeah, she's plays an identical
she's
twin.
become
The
more
Ringer.
attractive.
That's probably her now, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, she's cute. She is cute. But
I sometimes wonder, I always think about the ultimate beauty in women is like, what would she look like if you shaved all her hair off?
Yeah, I always
I'm very
imagine
biased.
shaving a girl's hair.
I'm already very biased by hair, so...
I think she's become more attractive.
Yeah, interesting.
Really? But I don't know whether she tips.
Who's the hottie now? This is obviously Chris, which is younger, yeah. It's probably her now. I mean, she looks very like 90s pageant girls, Kirsty Swanson.
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar might take it. I'm sad to say.
There's probably about 15 years between them, though.
Yeah.
What's their age split?
It doesn't matter what their age is. It's who's the hottie now.
Well, it is. No.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's 1977. 1969. So it's like in the 40s now.
Yeah. There's like a decade between them, right? 1977 and 1969.
Was she in Dude, Where's My Car?
She was probably like the MILF in Dude, Where's My Car?
You guys, if you want to see her hottest, man, you got to see The Chase with Charlie Sheen, man. See it, man. It's so awesome.
Well, look, yeah, I guess maybe Sarah Michelle Gellar. Controversial.
Controversial.
Well, I definitely agree. Kirsty Swanson owned it back then, but now maybe Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Pretty sad to admit that.
But Kirsty Swanson is still looking a lot better than I thought she would when you suggested the topic. 2002. So this is more accurate age as she was compared to Sarah Michelle Gellar now. Dum 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 dum. So we're calling it Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, it is.
Yeah.
Vampire of the Week, True Blood.
Yeah, have you guys been watching True Blood?
No.
I haven't watched the latest season, but I've caught up until this season that's on right now, or just finished.
Okay, I think I'm only up to third season. I think I finished third season, which got better. Second
Who's
season
your
was a dud.
favourite vampire so
I
far?
think my favourite vampire, and she's still alive at the end of the season I watched, was the... God, I'm so bad with names. But it's kind of the sassy female vampire who... It's a terrible explanation.
She works at the bar.
She works at Fantasia.
Yeah, I know the one you talk. I don't know her name either, but
she just cracks me up. Whenever she's on, she just makes me laugh. Her delivery her timing is just fantastic, and she's got this great aesthetic, and she's really catty.
And she's a bit older.
She's a little bit older, yeah.
I
think she's just hilarious. Anyway,
no, she's
that's
good.
it.
She's really good.
That's it.
There is well, I don't know if she's in there by the time you are, but Evan Rachel Wood comes along and plays a vampire at some stage.
Does she play the queen?
Yeah, one of the queens in her district.
And she's like insane?
Yeah, she has that.
And
she lives in the house with the pool, the one.
Yeah, and she's playing like bridge and shit and cheating.
I didn't realise it was Evan Rachel Wood.
Neither did I. No.
I was just like, man, that girl's pretty smoking hot for a redhead. And then I looked her up on IMDb and I was like, oh, it's that girl who we've seen in many other things who dated Marilyn Manson, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, she was great. She's great as well. There's a lot of fun stuff in that show.
She's probably my favourite so far.
And Harry, you haven't been watching though?
No
so
idea.
No comment.
No comment.
This is
the
girl, I think Campbell.
Kristen Bauer. Yeah, that's the one. She's really good.
Vampire of the Week.
Yep, that's her. There's nothing else to say about her, really. I don't think we got time to say anything else. We're running out of time.
Yes.
It's like 11:20.
You probably have to go.
I do. And we haven't talked about cars at all. And when he got to vampires in the last minute.
Last week we did extra special car.
Yeah.
Extra car.
2 weeks worth of cars last week.
Non-stop car action.
Who would you rather have as a friend, Usher or Nelly? Question of the week.
Usher.
I'm totally Usher, man.
She's got more of a ring to the name.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And what's Nelly got? Did Usher do the U-turn as well?
I don't know. I feel like Usher, because he's famed as the next best dancer after Michael Jackson.
He was, wasn't he?
So if you're like telling the
That was
girls,
totally
say, do you want to come hang out with me with Usher? They would be more into it. Even though we went to our school reunion, like, was it last week, and the girls went, as soon as we played Usher's Nelly song, the girls were like, oh, let's go to the dance floor, oh my God.
What Nelly song was it?
Like, Country Home or
Country
something?
Manor.
Country Manor or something. It's country something. You guys at home could probably hear the thunderstorm that's happening outside.
Perth's tearing itself apart currently, which is exciting. So, I'd probably rather Usher.
Yeah, I'm
No
gonna go
offense,
for Usher.
Nelly.
So, are you moving, Camel?
Not right now. You know, the end of next year, and we'll probably buy a car when we're in the States/Mexico. So, just thinking about that, and then thinking about moving to Tasmania. We'll have to get a car there as well.
You're moving to Tasmania?
Well, in a couple of years, yeah.
Why? Is there a particular reason?
Liz wants to do her probably her PhD over there. So
Is that at all
At
related
university?
to what Alex's old lady friend is doing?
Yeah. Well, you know, the same sort of thing. Yeah.
Arts. They have a big arts
Yeah,
program.
they've got a really good arts program
Okay.
over there and good community, and yeah, so we'll probably move over there. Be exciting. But yeah, just looking at getting a new car. So that was some tenuous car
Is there
news
any
that I had.
American cars that you have your eye on? Will you go
No.
for the old Ford,
Get a
traditional
big
Ford, or
fucking
or a
monster.
GM
gas
Pontiac?
guzzler.
No, there were no. There's absolutely no car. You know, no.
Were you guys here when the Canadians were talking about how they, for our utes, are weird because they have big, what they call trucks that are like.
Yeah. But we got like these little utes that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. But they've got like huge, like fuck off huge trucks. These things are just
Would you want
bigger
something
than
like
you
that?
can
Like, or you
No.
go for gas efficiency?
because
like a
they're really
Prius.
expensive to run. Yeah, I don't know. And in Mexico, like there's huge Volkswagen plants in manufacturing plants in Mexico.
They were the
so
last
there's-
place to produce the Bug, weren't they?
they still make them.
They still make
I'm
them,
pretty
do
sure they
Oh,
still make them, but they fit them with like all modern stuff because they don't make old steering wheels and old stereos and stuff like that. So they get fitted with new stuff. But you know, the body's exactly the same. Yes, there's a lot of Volkswagens over there, so it might be that. I don't know. I really don't know.
Should totally get a new Volkswagen.
Well, not a
Would
new
you try
one.
and get the same car that you had in
Yeah, but
America
like
as
a new
Mexico?
old Volkswagen.
If I got one in
Are you going to America? Sorry, I'm just.
Well, we're not sure. Yeah, I mean, we'll go to the States. I mean, it depends. We might land in the States, buy a vehicle, and then drive down to Mexico. I don't know. And then Tasmania, it's like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to get a car. What are we going to get? You know, having to actually buy a car rather than inherit one. It's a decision.
Get a
Definitely
jet.
not a classic vehicle. Something contemporary.
You
I
wouldn't
think would be
drive
good.
from Perth?
To Tasmania?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, right.
Probably not. I doubt it.
The Citroen.
Well, it's in a Renault, but no.
Renault, sorry.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't fancy that. But yeah, having to make a decision. How did you make your decision, Harry? What were your criteria for when you bought a car? It had to be manual?
Manual? Well, yeah, manual. Hatchback. I wanted a hatchback.
Hatch, yep.
I don't get sedans. A waste of space.
True.
Are they more fuel efficient because they're more aerodynamic? No?
I don't even know.
Nothing. What, sedans or hatchbacks?
No, I heard someone told me. Well, I don't know if it's true. Someone told me that sedans are more aerodynamic, so you get better fuel efficiency.
I
I don't know
can't
if
imagine
that's
there's
true or
much in it. I think I just asked the guy at the service station, and he said,
Get this one.
"You get one of these, one of these, or one of these.
Cool.
Easy to fix.
But
They won't break down. Good, reliable car.
your car did break down. What happened?
It's all
Fix itself.
fixed.
What happened?
Put some
Big news, big
lubricant
Fangin
in.
news. No, it wasn't just me. Apparently, the radiator, the cap on the radiator,
Yeah.
that like has got this pressure regulator in it, and it regulates the pressure inside the radiator.
Yeah.
So once it gets up to a certain pressure, there's like an overflow tank, and it fills up the overflow tank.
Ah, yes.
And then when it cools down, the pressure reduces and it creates a vacuum, and then it sucks everything from the overflow tank back into the radiator.
Yes.
And that's all controlled by the cap on the radiator.
Ah.
And so the cap on the radiator fucked up, and so when it heated up, it'd like squeeze all the excess radiator
But it couldn't
fluid
suck it back in.
out into the overflow tank, but it wouldn't suck it back in, so it just kept on passing it out. It got hotter and hotter and hotter, and like the overflow tank overflowed and lost all the fluid, and then it went dry.
There you
So
go.
you got a new cap and you're ready to go.
$15 radiator cap.
Too easy.
Sweet.
Cost me $200.
It's a Ford, no?
Yeah, it's Ford.
What's that? Which
Ford
is
Laser.
the quintessential American vehicle.
It is.
It's also the quintessential Australian vehicle.
Fucking Ford.
No,
Nah,
the Holden.
fucking Holden cunt.
Holden,
Ford
mate.
pisses on Holden.
No, Holden spends all its day like just pissing over cunts, like your
Yeah.
fucking Ford cunts.
Yeah.
Haven't you seen the stickers?
Come on, mate. I hear a lot of adverts. Ford sponsors a lot of podcasts, so I'm very biased towards Ford because I'm like, they're supporting podcasts.
Well, your brother's a big Ford fan as well. I thought you'd be a Holden fan on principle.
Well, yeah, I am kind of. But if I was in America, where Holden is an option, Ford for sure.
Get a Pontiac, James.
I wanted the
yeah, it
Ford.
even sounds
they're
like
bringing
your
out the
name.
new Ford Focus Electrics that are pure electric cars next year, so I want one of them.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't know what to do when I get to Tasmania. And then how much do you spend on a car? As little as you
Not
possibly
very
can.
much.
Yeah.
Get second hand, go to a.
Oh, yeah.
Go to second
Definitely,
hand.
I'm definitely not going to buy a
Or
new
would you
car.
get a dealer demo model?
No.
No.
So what,
Even there,
that's
so
our
it's-
Echo was a dealer.
Yeah, but
Demo.
even that's like,
You only
18 grand or whatever.
$1,000 off, wasn't it?
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. And then it's like, do we get 2 cars or can we still do with just 1? All those sorts of things I'm starting to think about. And then what are our financial situation be
What's
at that
public
time?
transport situation
What's public transport
Tasmania
like?
like?
Yeah.
Or where you're living.
Yeah, where
it
we're
all
going to
depends.
live. Yeah, all those sorts of
Do
considerations.
you have a double garage or do you have a single garage? Or
Yeah.
do you have an on-street parking?
on-street parking? Are we just going to be in the city? So do we just need a little city car? Are we going to be transporting artwork? So do we need something more like a wagon? Da-da-da-da-da.
It's probably too early to tell.
Too early to tell, I know, but it's a good thing to, waste time doing. It's like 2 cars.
Cars are expensive, though.
Cars are expensive. You got to
You should
insure
get a
them.
scooter and a van.
That's why
That'll probably make more sense. You do even need a car. Probably.
Just hire one for the days
Get a
you're going
Get a bike.
Isn't
to
Tasmania
do
all about
galleries.
bikes? It's like
That's
Rottnest,
true.
bigger version of Rottnest where you just ride bikes.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it rains a lot over there.
Just get a rain jacket.
Yeah, but it's nice rain there, right?
Nice
It's
and
like-
cold.
I don't know. Yeah, nice and freezing. Yeah.
We got
It's
some
like
feedback last episode.
Oh, what?
What?
Bullshit. We've never gotten anyone
I think I was just
feeding back.
talking with Campbell, Harry before Campbell turned
That's
up.
not feedback.
No, this is about the feedback.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, we should have females on the show.
We did Bryony.
She's not been on this show.
Oh,
Not on Fangin.
She was on the Webathon.
Webathon.
But also, part of that feedback was delivered by Fred,
What?
was Freddie
who hasn't sent in a mobile podcast from Europe. So I thought you guys could tell him off and say, send us
Fred, send us a mobile podcast.
send us some
from
audio
Europe.
samples we can include in the
Please.
podcast, please.
Even if it's just, even if you're not talking, even if you're just recording some soundscapes.
Yeah, just something. Give us something.
Jeez, Fred. Jesus fucking
Let us
cunt,
know
Fred.
you're
Jesus,
alive.
Shit on a dick. Fred, fuck. So this was sent via Fred from...
Yes, as we were just on Facebook. Well, it possibly was during the late shift after you guys had left, when Nick and Wilson they had logged on to hear the end of last week's live show, and were telling us to have females on, and it was possible that Zoe was logged in under Fred's account, but to not only have females on the show, but I was like, why haven't you sent it in a podcast? And he didn't answer that question. Yeah.
Oh, busted. Obvious. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't care. But then once Fred gets back, this podcast...
What do you guys feel about females on the show? Should we... only if it's a special...
Look, don't get me wrong. I love the ladies.
Yeah. Should
but
be
it's
exclusive to females?
Should be... I don't mind. We can bring in whoever we want.
And if we did have a female, would it be restricted purely to guests? We should never have someone who's not a special guest. Like, we shouldn't get someone from Perth. Do you know what I mean? If someone like Nick, who happened to be female, flew in and we were like, let's have him on the show.
No, well, you could have a female of the week.
Sit.
Yeah, we've got a huge thunderstorm happening, and Cleo the dog is very upset. Very distressed dog. Okay. So we're dog minding. Hey, look, Zoe, if you're listening, Cleo, come. We've got a female on the podcast.
We'd love to have you on the show.
We've got one.
Cleo's on, and she's having a heart attack live on the show.
Cleo, listen, you can hear her panting. First female on Fangin.
You feel her
heart beating.
She's vibrating from being scared.
It's like having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, humans do it as well when we shiver like, ooh.
That's insane. Feel the dog.
Bang.
Wow. Yeah, she's really freaking out. But we're going to comfort her, so that's good. All right.
Thanks for joining us on Fangin' Around, dog.
Around.